Hello, hello. Welcome one and all to another week of Aegis Executioners League. My name is Tokibi, you know me, but joining me now, our regular caster who was in the stream match last week, it's Chong Solomon. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. I want to give a big shout out to ZBZ Freak, though, for filling in for me for those first 2 weeks. Did a great job. Always been a fan of his casting, so thank you for that one, my man. But I'm excited for some AEL action again this week, and I'm really excited to see the two teams that we have on stream tonight. But it should be an action-packed matchup with both these teams having identical records of same wins against the same team and losing to the same team. So definitely interesting.
Yeah, and those two teams are going to be OverSoul Esports Scream and Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. And as Chong mentioned, they have the exact same records. Both went 2-1 against Cape Dogs Redacted, and both went 0-2 against Lithium Luna. So this is really just going to end up being the game to see who's going to be second in their group. But before we get into the draft, Chong, do you have any predictions for this team?
My prediction is just knowing names on paper better is I think that the Syndicate team is going to be the one to win. I mean, it's a pretty stacked roster. I'm surprised they did end up losing to Elysium Luna. I mean, Elysium is a good organization, and that is a very solid team. I've played against that specific iteration of Elysium in the past. They're very good. So Can't say I'm too surprised they lost, but knowing everybody on Elysium, it's not. I'm sorry, knowing everybody on Syndicate, it is definitely shocking that they ended up losing that one. So my money's going to be on them, potentially a 2-1 here tonight, but I could see it 2 as well.
All right. And with that, I mean, we're seeing these rosters. So you say you know some of these players, and are there any people that we should be watching out for? Though, before you answer that, I do want to make a quick note. Espada is not going to be starting today. CZI is going to be starting, though there is a chance Espada will be back in the later matches.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to watch out for CZI up in the top lane. He's a really solid top laner. I've played with and against this guy in the past. He's super solid, but Sean in the mid lane is a menace all the time. I mean, everybody on this syndicate team can be a player to watch at specific times, but I'm really looking at Sean and all Gucci for this team as being the one to kind of carry for this team and looking to have that happen here again tonight.
I mean, that's a lot of pretty good things to say about Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. And I mean, again, both of these teams are 1-1, and it is early weeks. We see it in every single league across every single level, where sometimes the first 2 to 3 weeks, they're a little bit off, but weeks 4 through 7, that's where everyone really starts breaking into their own pace. And I think that's what's going to make this match really interesting because it is that week 3. And this is a match that is going to set the pace for both of these teams. They are dead even. Like we have nothing to separate them on, I think, beyond game time and KDA, which is not really something you want to be starting to separate teams on. That just goes to show how close these two teams should be.
Yeah, I mean, we are only 3 weeks into the season, but every match is important, especially when you have the same record as who you're going up against in that week, because that could be the determining match to who makes it into those playoffs and who doesn't. So these teams are going to have to separate themselves from each other one way or another with whoever gets the win here tonight. And hopefully they can turn that into continuing to win throughout the rest of the season, looking towards the later half of the year and the season, hoping to get that championship. But I mean, I'm definitely excited. I'm really excited to see this OverSoul team. I really only know one player on this team. So seeing 4 new faces to me on the Rift is definitely going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what they have in store for us here tonight. I'm really looking at their jungler and their mid laner as the two for this team to be the ones I'm going to be keeping my eyes on here.
So, would you say that that's going to be the main kind of matchup today for this week?
I would have to say, yeah. I like Sean has been around. Everybody knows who Sean is and what he's done in a lot of different orgs and a lot of different leagues. But looking at Crash, the mid laner for Oversoul and their solo queue data, this guy's a really solid player. He's up, he hit diamond this season. So I expect Sean's gonna have a tough matchup for himself tonight. But Trad has been around for a while now. Really solid jungler as well, but Deathmaster on the other side has some interesting champions that he does like to pull out in solo queue. I'm really curious if he's going to be able to transfer those into a competitive setting. So I really will be looking at that mid jungle matchup here tonight between these two.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be a fun place to focus. And I mean, we see it across, again, just across every single division, every single league, where mid jungle is just such an important duo. It really sets the tone for the rest of the game, for the rest of the map, really, for the rest of the roster. They just have to constantly be kind of aware of where that mid jungle matchup is. But we are getting an update right now. There is a player that is going to be a little bit late. They are still on their way, so we will be starting shortly, but that is kind of the reason for that delay. And yeah, so hopefully they'll be here soon. Hopefully we can get started ASAP. But for the meanwhile, is there anything else you'd like to bring up for now, Chong?
Um, Honestly, all I can think about for this matchup is, personally as a support main, I'm going to be looking at these two supports. I do know Silly Goose on the side of, I know both of these support Silly Goose. I know a little bit better playing against him more. The last time I played against D-Shot, he didn't have the best game. I don't know if he just was having an off night or something, but I know this guy is a really solid support, and everybody knows how important the support role is for competitive play. With the jungler getting controlling the vision, setting up for objectives is very important. So if one of the supports is having an off night, it can be very difficult for the rest of the team if nobody else can step up and like help them get over that little bump that they are having. So as important as any matchup is in League of Legends, I think the support one is integral to how these teams are going to be getting a win here tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of team fights and a lot of dragon control, especially when Espada does sub back in. he does have the Fiora as a split push option to himself. Most teams always ban it out against him, and he's lately been playing a lot more tanks, so I wouldn't expect that split push option to come through here tonight. So I'm expecting a lot of team fighting in this series here.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that. But for now, while we do wait for the final player to join, we are going to go over to a short break. But when we come back, we'll be heading straight into the draft. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back again soon. And we're back sooner rather than later, which always a good thing, but the draft has begun, and it's important to note that they will be facing a 2-ban penalty because we are 10 minutes late. So SJW going to have to give up those first 2 bans. And do you think that's going to make a big difference in terms of the drafting strategy, Sean?
I think not, because this is Fearless. With having 2 less bans, that means a lot more stuff is open for both sides. A lot of power picks in the meta, or just power picks for individual players. So I think that can have an advantage in some series. I think more so best of 5 than best of 3. But I'm really curious how Syndicate is actually going to play around that, with having less ban losses, and be like, all right, so what is the 1 ban we need to take away to make sure that we can win this matchup here, and which picks are going to get through to us, because we have the first 2 while OverSoul only has the first 1. But already looking at the bans for OverSoul, they are targeting that late jungler in Trad. He's not getting his Skarner, not getting his Viego. I mean, you talked about it when we were in between getting ready for this cast, Toki, that Trad and solo queue has like a 5.84 KDA on Skarner in like 75 games or something like that.
That's insane.
But OverSoul is going with 3 jungle bans. They are trying to control Trad, who is probably the biggest wildcard player on the side of Syndicate.
Yeah, and you said this is going to be a mid-jungle kind of matchup today. And I mean, it definitely seems like it's coming out for the bans. I mean, Volibear, that's a targeted ban towards the jungle as well. And what's interesting to me is I've started noticing this kind of new meta erupting within the Emerald scene. I've noticed it in Diamond and Platinum as well, where jungle and AD carry, that's typically the only things you see in the first phase. And then at least for the very first few picks, and then after that, that's when you pick everything else, as the jungle's still going to be picked 100% jungle so far in the draft, as J4 going to go the way of OverSoul.
Yeah, I think it does make a lot of sense. Jungle is that one role where you have like 3 to 4 S tier junglers, and then you have like everything else in like A tier, and then after you get past all the A tier, it's like, what AD or AP junglers are left to play. That's where you start falling onto like Kindred and Evelyn and stuff like this. So, I mean, OverSoul went with the jungle bands, and the Volibear band on the side of Syndicate is targeted at Master Puppet. The jungler for OverSoul has a really good solo queue win rate and KDA on it, but gonna get his Jarvan. It's responded to by Lucian Sejuani. So I'm really happy that Syndicate didn't go Lucian Nami, because Nami isn't even Lucian's best pairing. There's like 13 other supports that have a higher solo queue win rate with Lucian than Nami. Like, Lucian is really strong right now. You don't need to pair him with that Enchanter. You can play him with an engaged support as well. He's just in a really strong spot. But then Sejuani and then a Jinx on the side of OverSoul. I mean, you're going to have to take Cleanse because of Sejuani. You don't want to get hit by that Glacial Prison, most likely. But not having a J4 to go against is good, because then Jinx can actually win in these team fights where she can create all that space. But an early Victor pick for Crash. This is their highest solo queue played this season so far, and looks really good on it from what I have seen. So I'm not surprised to see that OverSoul is going for that early pick here for their mid laner, and not maybe getting him the most...
It's the fish.
I hate it. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate it so much, because it's like there's other enchanters that help with Lucian's passive better than Nami. There's Yumi, there's Sona, there's Seraphine. It's like Nami's great and all, but like there's better champions for Lucian than Nami, and I think once players and teams start to realize that, it's gonna make Lucian even better than he already is.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, my personal favorite's always been Milio. I think just having that extra range means Lucian, because typically Lucian is the one that starts the fights. It's one of the few AD carries that does it themselves. And with Milio, you're kind of given a much longer range, a much larger opportunity to start those fights. But I'm interested to know what your opinion is on OverSoul's first 3 picks, because both Jinx and Victor require a lot of scaling to get into the late game. And I mean, with the picks that they're showing right now on Syndicate, do you think they'll be able to get to the point where this Victor and Jinx are going to be relevant and strong?
So I think they can if Jarvan is able to affect the map early. Jarvan is picked to just hard gank lanes, and it can be a little bit difficult when you have a Victor for your setup. There's no easy CC lockdown to be able to get the flag and drag combo going super early. But if he's able to get effective ganks, able to burn summoner spells, and able to repeat ganks, it can be able to be a bridge if he gets strong enough in the early game to bridge the late game for your Jinx and your Victor. And looking at the top laners champion pool, Blue Castle for the side of OverSoul, he likes to pick some early aggressive champions. I'm seeing like Renekton's, Aatrox, even the Ambessa, Gwen kind of aggressive early. But like, if they're able to get one of those champions that can be your early game carry and bridge the gap to the late game for your Victor Jinx, I think OverSoul has a pretty good draft so far. I think it's a little more difficult now that a Mordekaiser has been picked up for the side of Syndicate, because if only the Jinx is fed or only the Victor's fed, Mordekaiser goes, I might lose this 1v1, but my team wins the 4v4 if I just take away the fed member and just deal with it myself. So I'm really liking the response pick up there for CZI in the top lane on the side of Syndicate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking this draft from the side of Syndicate as well. And I really like their bans, too, because I think they've kind of realized that this Jinx is going to need some protection. Vic is not going to come out from the mid lane. So they got rid of the Braum and the Lulu. And instead, you mentioned the Aatrox. I think that is a fine pick. I think that's going to give them that aggression they need. And I believe it does fine into Mordekaiser as well. Just really depends on the skill. It's a skill-based matchup. But the Rel, now that's a really interesting pick for me. Just kind of walk me through that, because that's a hard engage from the support role.
Yeah, so I don't like Rel pick here from what Syndicate has drafted, because there's a lot of ways to... Oh, okay, we're getting the Trad. It's Trad, Mordekaiser jungle, and CZI got the Jax counter pick top. It is not going to be the Baus Jax, if anybody's wondering. He's not going AP Jax, guys. It is... Oh, wait, no, I lied. I forgot. This is Mordekaiser mid for Sean. Like legitimately, this is Mordekaiser mid. It's actually Sean's most played champion. So that's where it is, because they already have Sejuani. I completely ignored that. It's the Sejuani jungle, and then you have 2 AD solo laners. So I do really like that for the side of the Syndicate. But back to the Rel point that you did ask, I don't like the Rel pick into what Syndicate has drafted. Just when it was the Mordekaiser, Nami, and Sejuani, even less so with the Jax, because there's multiple ways to stop her engage now. You could just Arctic Assault, Glacial Prison, Aqua Prison, Tidal Wave. You can either do the Death's Grasp to pull her out of her engage. So it's going to be really difficult for Silly Goose on this route to get clutch engages unless they're coming from awkward, unwarded angles that the side of Syndicate is not prepared for.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at these two drafts at the same time, if Oversoul is able to get through that early game, I think they have an incredibly powerful late game composition. They have a lot of different ways of starting the fight. They have a lot of different ways of cleaning it up. I mean, both Crash and Mystic should be able to, in theory, carry those fights. So I think this is really just going to come down to the early game. If Syndicate, Jerry's Watermelons are going to be able to win that early game enough. And you were saying at the start, you do favor them as a team, but am I right to assume that at least for the draft, you favor them as here as well?
I only slightly favor it. I mean, it's because of how strong the early game is with Jax, Sejuani, Lucian, even the Mordekaiser in early game is pretty strong as well. If they're able to get a significant enough lead over the scaling comp that Oversoul has drafted, it's going to be really hard for Oversoul to come back in this game. But if Syndicate does make like any mistakes during the early levels and during the early team fights around objectives, and Oversoul gets Victor accelerated or the Jinx accelerated, it becomes very difficult for the side of Syndicate to play this one out, just because Oversoul can actually create so much space for their two big carry threats. So it's going to be a close one. I'm slightly favoring Syndicate just because I know their players a little bit better than I do of Oversoul's.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to go to a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be heading straight onto the Rift for game number 1. So don't go anywhere.
push it away. Intense chase and whispers before they all just fade. So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? I will find a this porcelain mirage may start to break. Each piece a reminder, every single little mistake. So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? Tell me why it won't ever be the same. I'll burn it all, no matter who's to blame. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. And every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away? Tell me why I won't ever feel the same. I'll try everything until you're back again.
All right, and we are on the rift for map number 1 between OverSoul Esports Scream and Syndicate Jerry's Watermelon.
Yeah, I mean, I am super excited for this matchup here. Looking at runes masteries and everything like that, Sean is not running the teleport in the mid lane. He is running Ghost on Mordekaiser, which does make a lot of sense because you do need that sticking power, but playing without a teleport can be difficult at some points. As you see that Syndicate is looking to get some early vision of where the OverSoul jungler could be starting here, and with him being in the top river getting a vision of his own on the other side, both junglers should be knowing where each one is starting in this game number 1.
Yeah, and that should be pretty interesting here, just because, again, they're going to know where they start. They're going to know just how a lot of aggression to come out. Typically, Jax is one of those people that isn't super early, but in this matchup can actually deal quite a bit of damage. Slowly but surely start. Yeah. But now, talk to me about this Mordecai mid lane, because you said this is something that Sean's played a lot of. It is definitely not something I see often.
Yeah, so I've seen Sean play it. I've never played against it before. So I think it's going to be difficult in the early levels, just as any melee versus range matchup is in the early levels. It's going to be hard for Sean to get that important CS. He's going to have to effectively trade his HP bar for Crash's mana bar to be able to farm up. But also, Mordekaiser being a manless champion should be able to stay in lane, in theory, longer than Crash is able to. But once Sean hits those like big power spikes like level 6 and so on, he should be able to just have 1v1 pressure in this matchup. And that's why I think he picks this Mordekaiser a lot into control mages, because it's like, yeah, I'm going to suffer in the early levels, but once I hit level 6, I'm going to be able to solo kill them and kind of effectively take them out of the game. As you see, Crash is actually pinging on to miss jungle here, knowing that he is on the Raptor. He's not able to steal away the big one. Mist able to actually pick up all of them. So Doesn't get any stolen away, but Crash did hit him with that laser, so gets a little bit more towards that passive marks, looking to stack that up early.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still a pretty big deal just being able to mark Mist, make Mist aware that they are currently being marked. And on top of that, it's just really showing that Crash has some pretty good mid priority right now. Now, like you said, once level 6 comes out, this is Ghost. There's no TP on this Mordekaiser. So the 1v1 kill potential is definitely going to be there for the Mordekaiser. But until then, it is going to be some pretty free farm coming out for this Victor. And it is something that they need. I'm also really interested to see when some aggressive plays are going to start coming out in this bottom lane. It is pushing into the Lucian Nami, so that is good for them, at least in terms of being able to control the wave. And with Deathmaster Pwnz 2 here as well, might even see a little bit of a fight starting to brew over the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, you see that D-Shot and All Gucci are walking here with Mist. We could have a fight actually breaking out right now, but being zoned away by Silly Goose and Mystic, but now it looks like they're going to make a play onto Mist, but he's able to just use that E stack up and Smite to be able to execute it, as All Gucci gets a nice little trade on Mystic. Nice use of that level 3, but, you know, Sean taking that abuse in the mid lane isn't only down that 6 CS at this point is actually pretty good for Sean in this matchup. He's doing good at catching all the CS that he is able to or allowed to via Crash not being there to harass him or anything, but overall it's just early scaling for both sides. I'm surprised D-Shot and All Gucci have not been more aggressive in the spot lane.
Oh, but Deathmaster Pwnz is coming into the mid lane. They're looking for it. Flag and Drag is going to land. Now, Sean does have Flash, but not going to use it. First Blood going the way of Deathmaster Pwnz.
Yeah, Crash got a nice use of that gravity field down
And now
there.
they're going up into the top lane. The Arctic Assault gonna hit onto Blue Castle and perfectly timing it after the flash. There's nowhere for Blue Castle to go, and that's just gonna be a kill going over to CZI, so trade it on the other side of the map.
Okay, so we just saw Sean get ganked, and he was smart. He's like, I know I'm gonna die. I won't flash. And then immediately Blue Castle gets ganked, and he goes, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna flash, and then still dies. So yes, OverSoul does get that first blood, but I think the counterplay by Syndicate to gank top lane is better because they don't use any summoner spells, and now Blue Castle is actually down flash himself, and CZI was the one to pick up the kill while Crash only got the assist in the mid lane. So Syndicate able to make a nice counterplay, able to get their kill in response almost immediately after Sean goes down, and it goes on to the better target than onto the Sejuani. So I like the play that Syndicate makes in the early game there.
It's definitely going to help them out a lot, and we do see it's a Phage versus Pickaxe buy, so just a little bit more gold being spent on the side of CZI, and that should help them quite a bit in this lane. Like, in general, it is still a bit of a difficult lane, as actually Silly Goose going in, gonna get hit by the bubble. Could get burst down, but All Gucci's out of mana, so cannot follow up with a Relentless Pursuit. I don't know if that's calculated, but that could have been quite dangerous for Silly Goofy.
Yeah, All Gucci has been using that mana bar to CS, which is really difficult to not do sometimes on Lucian because you want to be pushing these waves fast, but his mana cost is so high in the early levels, just eats through that mana bar, so when they are able to punish Silly Goose,
but the Death Realm is going to come through. Crash going to get stuck within it, going to flash over the gravity field. And Crash doesn't really have anywhere to go, has Flash available and will use it and will manage to dodge away, but it doesn't matter. Sean just coming in with a hammer, and that's going to be that solo kill at level 6, just like you were talking about.
Yeah, I really like that play out of Sean. He immediately pulls him into the Death Realm. He pops the Ghost almost immediately, so he has it for the full duration and afterwards. And then once the Gravity Well is on top of his head, he goes, I'm just going to flash over this and play around it, knowing that Crash, once the Death Realm is gone, he's going to have no way to get away from me or out of this play. Even if he does flash, I still have the Ghost ticking to be able to stay on top of him and get the play. And that's why Sean does pick this Mordekaiser into it. We see it as I talked about it immediately as the level 6 hits, we immediately see it. So Sean's showing us why the Mordekaiser is good into these immobile control mages that are picked in the mid lane in the current meta.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be a pretty big deal losing that trade. It is going to give a little bit of gold, as actually some decent trading happening at the top side. CZI starting to get a little bit low, but so is Blue Castle. And I think both of them are starting to get to the point where one more trade like that could end up being lethal. Both of their ultimates are available. The World Ender and Grandmaster at Arms will make these fights last a little bit longer, but another Darkened Blade lands. Luckily for CZI, does still have the TP, but it's really starting to get poked down, even with that first kill going over to the Jax.
Yeah, he still has TP, still has Flash, and now we see on the minimap, we can see that Deathmaster is actually looking for a dive because the World Ender is there for Blue Castle. He can take the aggro and start it up, but a nice word by CZI knows that they're there, but now we
It's
got the
not
dive
gonna
coming.
matter. They're still getting set up. The Flag and Drag is gonna come through. Same with the Cataclysm, and actually starting to get traded pretty well. One more hit. It's an execute. So managed to get the right play, but didn't get that initial bit of damage. So that's just a clean 1 for 0 and a play going over to OverSoul.
Yeah, CZI tried his best to outplay that one. I think he thought that Blue Castle had drawn the aggro, so he flashes out of the Cataclysm to stun Blue Castle, but it was Deathmaster who drew the turret aggro, so he was the one taking it up. If CZI just stuns him there, knowing that he is going to die no matter what, if he just stuns up Deathmaster under the turret, he would get that 1-for-1 trade in the turret dive. It was a nice play. It was a nice attempt by CZI, but slightly misexecuted ends up costing him not getting that kill there on the slightly, you could say, botched tower dive. I think they could have had Blue Castle tank it instead of Deathmaster, but able to still get the kill in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, especially with Sean being on the way up, it could have just been a free recall. It's actually Crash getting run down again. Death Realm is available, and it will come through. So now the gravity field not going to matter too much. Crash just trying to buy some time, but Mist is going to be here. Mist is ready to respond. Arcane Storm over top, and Arctic Assault will be able to get the feats over for Syndicate. And now we see on both sides of the screen, CZI also fighting Super Mega Death Rocket. Just going to go wide. 3 points towards Mystic, but field goal is not going to deal any damage.
Yeah, and because CZI basically solo killed Deathmaster, forced him off those grubs by himself, that's going to be Syndicate picking up the 2 while OverSoul only got the 1. So now they have the 3 kills. They have 2 of the neutral objectives, so they only need the next Dragon or even the Rift Herald if they don't want to fight for Dragon number 2 in this game to be able to claim the feats of warfare for themselves. Really smart play there. Sean punishing Crash again, immediately putting him in the Death Realm, and Mist being right
Blue
place,
Castle
right time.
gonna flash it.
Ooh, close play up there in top lane. A little Pengu dab as well for Mist on the way out. Forcing another summoner spell. Mist has been pretty active on the Sejuani in the early game, especially after hitting the level 6 mark is exactly what you want out of Sejuani. Once you have use of that ultimate, want to be looking for these ganks all the time, especially around those melee solo laners that you do have in the Jax and the Mordekaiser. But the one lane we haven't really been focusing on and talking about is the bottom lane. When you pick Lucian Nami, you want to be aggressive. You want to be hard winning this lane, but they're only up 2 CS. This is not what you expect when you draft a Lucian Nami in the game.
No, definitely not. As Sean actually getting ganked right now. Death Realm is not available, so the gravity field is going to land a stun. And I think Sean might just go down here trying to 1v2, but again, with another knockup, does have the go, so we'll be able to back away. And Mystic, Super Mega Death Rocket not going to land. And now this could be traded back. All Gucci looking for the play. Silly Goofy should still have the crash down to get away. And now Deathmaster again with the culling coming out over top. Tidal Wave as well. Again, more summoners used, but Syndicate's just not able to get more kills. And like you said, all Gucci, by not being ahead, is starting to fall behind.
Yeah, and that play was extremely close to going either way. Sean just being able to escape there thanks to that W, getting that huge shield and healing back, and then still having the ghost to himself, able to get out. And his team with the rotations, they tried to catch out Deathmaster, but a nice flag and drag was able to get him away. And then Crash had a nice gravity well to stun up multiple targets, so they weren't able to get on top of Deathmaster after he got out, or even on top of Crash. So a very close play on both sides, but we see how strong this Mordekaiser is starting to become in this game. He was winning that 1v2 surprisingly, and was also able to escape with his life.
Yeah, now taking a look at the gold, I mean, 1k lead in the top lane for Blue Castle. I think that's definitely been the lane with the biggest changes. And then over in the bot lane as well, Mystic has a lead. And I mean, that really says a lot about this lane because, again, Lucian Nami, this is a kill lane. This is a lane you pick because you want to dominate your opponent. You want to get kills left, right, and center. But right now, it seems in general, just all the gold is going the way of OverSoul. And this Aatrox is definitely going to get quite scary as Flash actually going to get forced out of Crash with the Death Grasp. So at the very least, Sean is still able to put out some pressure. And with this plate, all Gucci can put down some, but it's definitely starting to look a bit scary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that Crash did flash away from that Death Grasp, just because Sean is on that Rylai's, so if he gets pulled in, he's immediately going to be slowed up and potentially put into the Death Realm, so he's going to have no way of escaping Sean if a Death Grasp ever does hit at this point in the game. So I have to burn the Flash here to be able to stay alive, to be getting to those ability upgrades, to my later items, to be impactful in this game. So I do like the play out of Crash, but it was a better play out of Sean to potentially look for another 1v1 kill there.
Yeah, and now, I mean, it is also going to open up another potential play. Realm of Death is available now, so they can just throw that down onto Crash whenever, and without the Flash, it's so much harder to escape, so much harder to survive on that. As interesting play coming out of the top side, Deathmaster is looking for another dive, but the Dragon is spawning on the bot side, so it looks like they're aiming to get this kill instead. Now, CZI not going to be in position to really deal with that, as Sean and Crash are both in the area as well, just kind of matching each other. But that's still going to be Dragon going for free over towards the Syndicates.
Yeah, I mean, CZI has been warding well behind him, knowing that these tower dives are a potential play. So he sees Deathmaster there again on it. And because of that, they just get the free Dragon start. But now Sean will be in trouble.
Yeah, is going to get knocked up and just everything going to get burned. So that's going to be a kill going over onto Sean. And again, saves the Flash for later just in case. But that's going to help Crash get back into the game a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit disrespectful there, knowing that Deathmaster was just on the top side and could potentially be coming towards mid.
CZI might be going for the all-in. Grandmaster at Arms and World Ender both getting popped. CZI definitely winning this trade, just needs one more auto and will be able to land it. As now Mist and Crash are trading a little bit, neither one going to fully go on to the other, but 1k gold down, and CZI still wins that matchup.
Yep, that is the power of Jax. He hit level 11, 2 points into that ultimate, is a very strong trading tool, has the Sheen, and now is fully on that Trinity Force as well. So CZI, despite not picking up all the CS, getting tower dove, and then being constantly under his turret, still has 1v1 pressure in this matchup and played that one extremely well, knowing exactly his break point to be able to get that 1v1 kill.
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to help quite a bit. The Triforce now completed, so they're in a very good spot to be able to make use of that kill as well. And interestingly enough, a lane swap coming out in the top lane just as the Rift Herald's going to be spawning. And we haven't mentioned this yet, but with that Dragon, that was actually Feats going the way of Syndicate. So that will kind of help them scale up a little bit more into the late game. But again, with Victor and Jinx, I don't know if that'll be enough.
I mean, Jax is starting to scale. He's 2-1 now. Sean is getting to his second item as well. Mist is pretty strong at this point in the game. And also, Deathmaster is going for the Eclipse Drive-In. I'm not a fan of this as much in competitive play as solo queue, just because that means now that you have less survivability when you do dive into that backline, especially with the one that Syndicate has with the Lucian and even the peel potential with Jax and the Mordekaiser and Sejuani and the Nami. I don't like the Eclipse build as much as I would have liked the Sunderous Sky Black Leader Sterix build that you see more.
Just getting thrown out onto Mystic and Silly Goofy. I'm wondering if they're looking to dive this on the next wave.
Yeah, there's the potential for it. We see Mist walking up here, but a nice ward there by Silly Goofy to not let that one be potential. But Mist is actually still looking for this one.
Yeah, Arctic Assault is going to be coming in, but there's a TP behind Mist. Mist could have gone a little bit too far. Now Silly Goofy with a crash down, able to get another shield, but now Tidal Wave coming out over top. Mist trying to run, but there's a turret there. And it's just going to be D-Shot and Gucci trying to run away. Super Mega Death Rocket again just going to go wide. But Master Pose is in the backline, gets a Cataclysm on it too. And they all flash away. And it's just Sean in the middle of everyone in the Death Realm with Crash. But now CZI has joined the fray. Already takes down one. And now it's Blue Castle, Deathmaster, and Mystic trying to survive underneath the tier 1. But the Death Grasp is going to be there. Mystic going to go down next. CZI starting to get slow. And it's just Blue Castle left alive. The wave almost getting pushed out, and in fact, it is going to go down. Can they go in? Can they get Blue Castle? They will get the ace. It'll trade for CZI, but a massive, massive dive going the way of Syndicate.
Yeah, that started out with Mist potentially overplaying there, getting caught out between 4 members and the turret. But the response by Syndicate was there. Sean came in, was immediately pulling Crash, a big damage threat in that point in the game, in the team fight, in a small corridor like that with the ultimate, not letting that be a factor, pulling him into the death realm, and then CZI with the later TP after pushing out that bot wave even more, was able to TP up and make a huge impactful play up there for their team. And now that is a 4-2 Jax, all Gucci getting their first 2 kills of the game, Sean picking up another one. This Syndicate team is starting to scale up, and it was something we didn't say was a potential for them, but after that team fight looking
Sean
good.
starting to get run down, could be trading with Silly Goofy, and they will go down, but Sean could still be trading. Super Mega Death Rocket is going to land, and that is going to be a shutdown going to Deathmaster Pones, but all Gucci with the culling going to be able to return that kill immediately over the top. And we were talking about how old Gucci needs to get ahead. 2K gold lead over Mystic at 18 minutes just from those last couple plays.
Yeah, and Sean also is so strong in this
Blue
point, but now Blue
Castle gonna
Castle.
bluff the World Ender, gonna be running in, but the bubble's going to land. And it seems like the fight's gonna be there, so very sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, I mean, Sean on this Mordekaiser lives for so long now. He has the Rylai, he has the Riftmaker in the inventory. All Gucci now puts out so much damage on this Lucian. And CZI, this is what Jax does best. You leave him alone in the side lane, he will destroy that turret. And now he can look for the 1v1 onto Blue Castle, but it looks like he's looking to just get out of this one.
It's not a 1v1 anymore, and CZI knows it will flash away from Silly Goofy. And without that Shattering Strike, I don't think they have any way of making it happen. But again, they're sending 3 to the top lane as the Dragon's spawning. SJW have gotten all 3 of these Dragons for free this game.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just going to be OverSoul has to fight for this 4th Dragon. You do not want to give a Chemtech Soul to a Jax and also to a Mordekaiser. They can thrive in team fights at low health bars and be able to still win them and outplay in them. So definitely not something you want to be giving over, but also at this point, because you've given over all those, that you have not taken a single turret for yourself. It is 4-0 in turrets in favor of the Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. It's going to be hard to fight for this 4th Dragon just because of the gold advantages that have been built up on everybody basically on the side of Syndicate. The only person who's behind on gold right now is Mist, but it's a Sejuani. The impact is already there. They hit level 6. The impact was there since like 8 minutes into the game. So gonna be very hard for OverSoul to play out this team fight. And because they don't have a real front line, they have this Assassiny Jarvan, the Bruiser Aatrox, and then a support Rel who can be tanky, but it's a support at the end of the day. It's not as tanky as like an Ornn or Scion, even a Sejuani. It's going to be really difficult as now they are starting up the Otacon here on the side of Syndicate, and it has just been full neutral objective control for them since early in this game.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can call it control, because it's not that they've been controlling the areas completely. It's just that OverSoul haven't really been contesting on it. And now CZI looking for the solo bowl in the bot lane. A Silly Goofy going to go in. The Otacon fight has begun. Tidal Wave going to land on into the culling over top. And they will take down this realm. Deathmaster Pones is going to be the next. Currently in the Death Realm. And Sean should definitely be able to win this 1v1. And will be able to pull back Mystic as well. But the damage coming out from over top Mystic. Going to be able to get that kill with the help of Crash. As CZI does get the 1v1 in the bot lane. And there's no reason SJW can just keep playing slow.
I mean, they can also just restart the Otacon if they want, because CCI is just going to keep split pushing in this bottom lane since nobody's going to be responding to him at this point. But they're looking like they don't want to go for that with Crash and Mystic being able to send out that harass from a farther range, and they're able to get on top of them. Just looking to play it safe. They got the team fight they wanted for. They got a lot of kills in that one. They got another turret for themselves. So Syndicate, I think, is fine with Sean going down in that one because they start up the objective and were able to turn and make the play worth it for themselves, kind of baiting OverSoul into a play that they did not want to go for.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Sean has not had any bounties. Sean's been consistently trading 2-for-1 or a 1-for-1, but to get an objective. Just constantly trading up. I believe Sean also went down in that tower dive that really broke open the game for Syndicate as well. So the score may not look amazing on this Mordekaiser, but the effect of it has been phenomenal. Definitely helping the team a lot. And it's also interesting just to look at the overall gold league now. 5K gold in favor of Syndicate. And they were behind for a decent chunk into a late game team comp. That just shows how well they've been team fighting so far. As Silly Goofy could be actually targeted, going in instead. All Gucci just gonna throw the culling down. And Silly Goofy forced to flash, but could have overstayed. Deathmaster Phones is going to be their tidal wave just to burn them back. But the Kayakism lands on it too, and now missing and Crash just DPSing over top. They are going to be able to take down Deathmaster Phones. CCI is alone into 3, has the counter-strike and will be able to take down Goofy, but now there's just nowhere to go. CCI going to be the sacrificial lamb for it. At least I say that, but it's still alive. But nope, Blue Castle going to be able to get the kill. So it's still a 2 for 2, but you will definitely take that, especially when the kills go on to Crash and Mystic.
I mean, I think it's hard to say you are okay with that one, just because Otacon is still available on the map and you have no jungler right now. And Sean is still on the map, who can just literally pull Mystic into the Death Realm and 1v1 them at this point in the game. But because they aren't going for it, because Syndicate isn't pushing the advantage, you're fine with that trade on the side of OverSoul. You're not going to be able to pick up a turret because Syndicate has been doing a great job at pushing out these sideways, not letting any counterplay come out from OverSoul, kind of forcing them to play an ARAM, only be in the mid lane, and then looking for these team fights. I think Syndicate has just been playing this map better so far, and you're seeing it in the gold advantage, in the turrets, in the neutral objectives as well. And I mean, we were talking about All Gucci in the early game, who it's like you have to get ahead on this Lucian. He's not ahead, but the amount of damage that he puts out in these fights, in these early skirmishes, is insane right now, and it's really difficult for the side of OverSoul to be able to do anything about it at this point.
Yeah, 100%, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing right now macro-wise coming out from SJW, because Soul Point is available. If they want Soul, they can go and fight for it. But they realize that one dragon does nothing for OverSoul right now. It'll give them a little bit of stats, sure, but the Otacon definitely going to be the bigger objective on the map. And again, they're just able to get it for free. This macro play coming out of SJW has been really good, and they're just kind of running circles around OverSoul.
Yeah, I mean, they get the Otacon. They're fine with losing the mid lane turret at 24 minutes into the game. They lose their first dragon at 24 minutes. That is completely fine in their book. They got one of the best buffs in the game with this new version of the Otacon. I say new. It's been 12 patches since this one has been out, but new in the sense of it's not the double Otacons with the revives or anything like that. As Mystic is going to lose almost his entire HP bar as he has a flash away from the culling out of All Gucci there.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a free summoner pulled out by All Gucci, and they're still able to kind of hit onto this turret. And while that doesn't sound like something that insane, oh, they got a few autos onto it. As a Lucian, being able to walk up and hit a turret says a lot about the state of the team right now. It just shows how strong they are, how little they need to worry about. And even with the Shattering Strike just landing on the 80 carry, it just doesn't matter right now. There's not a lot of follow-up. But actually, the Magnetic Storm is going to come through in the backline. Deathmaster Bones is in the back, but is going to get interrupted. Cataclysm lands on it too, but Deathmaster is alone, and Silly Goofy is going to go down in the meanwhile. Sean just with the Death Realm, and they're just cleaning house. Crash is trying to survive and will be able to, but no, will end up burning down. That little bit of extra DPS coming out from Sean is all that's needed, and that's a 5-for-0 ace to SJW.
That could be game at this point, but SJW is not going to push it. They could, I think they had the window to end with these 20-second death timers, but they're just going to go for Baron, cross all their T's, dot all their I's, and then be able to win the game. But that team fight was hard won by All Gucci burning Mystic Splash earlier. Because of that, you saw once Sean got the kill onto Silly Goofy in that death round, he was able to get the E to pull Mystic back in, and CGI was there on the flank with the counter-strike, immediately burst down that 80 carry, and all was well to be able to clean it up in the end. Deathmaster tried to get onto the backside, onto D-Shot, and All Gucci. He did, but missed immediately, hit him with that Glacial Prison, and was not allowing him to move in that one. So he was bursted down, and then there was just nothing left in the tank for OverSoul in that team fight.
Yeah, and I think with that, they're going to be really behind now. I mean, 3.5 items on All Gucci. Finished that last Whisper. You're going to have that little bit of armor pen now. And most importantly, just 704. I'm actually a little bit surprised All Gucci hasn't gone down a single time so far this game. I mean, it was really passive and slow in the first couple minutes, but has definitely upped the pace since then.
Yeah, once he got those first 2 kills, it was just all aggression out of all Gucci, looking for anything, any chance he had to. As Miss is going to steal away those Raptors, do a little dance about it, not really worried about anything coming out of OverSoul at this point. But all Gucci is now a full item and a half ahead of Mystic. He just has that cloak in his
Oh,
inventory.
another
He's
culling,
gonna
and Mystic
hide.
doesn't have flash this time. Oh, Mystic did not learn their lesson from it, and I think without the ADK, they could definitely just look to take this tier 3. Currently, just the cannons really working on this tower.
I mean, and that's fine on the side of Syndicate because you have CZI splitting in the bot lane, going to be able to pick up that turret. You have Sean up in the top lane, going to be able to threaten this one. And now because you pulled people away to answer those sideways, now the mid one falls. So the next play could be the top one of Blue Castle.
Yeah, the Death Realm is going to get popped, and Blue Castle should get popped with it. And even with the flash, it doesn't matter. The burn damage coming out from Sean is more than enough. Now Olguchi going to run down to the bot lane, get that inhibitor as well, as Sean is working on the one on the top side. I think that OverSoul, they just need to go. If they wait, the longer they wait, the worse this is going to get. They need to try and pull the trigger ASAP. But right now, they're just going to be slowly pushing, and there they go. Look for the Magnet Storm, but immediately blocked away. And just like that, Deathmaster Pro's going to go down in the backline. Mystic is getting dove on by CZI, and the Zanya is coming out of CZI. Is going to keep everyone alive, and Crash will be the last one to go down. And another 5-for-0 ace, and Syndicate will get the 1-0 start to the series.
Yeah, that was a dominant game number 1 out of Syndicate. We saw the Mordekaiser pick do what it was supposed to do. We might have not gotten the aggression out of the Lucian Nami in the early game, but once those 2 kills came through from all Gucci, it was all break loose pace speed. They just went anytime they had the opportunity to, just channeling full callings onto anybody who responded to them. Mist and CZI also did an extremely good job of what they were supposed to do in that game. CZI just absorbed a lot of pressure and became a late game threat later in the game, which is what Jax is known for. He kind of scales up in the top lane and then eventually shows up to a team fight and you go, why did this guy just delete my entire HP bar with 3 abilities? So side of Syndicate played their comp exactly the way they needed to, and we saw how flawless it was in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's no better way to put it. And with that being said, we are now going to go to a short break, but when we come back, we're going to see if Syndicate can close it out with a 2-0, or if OverSoul is going to fight back and take us to a game 3. We'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere.
Regime, I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. sit on the other side. We're standing and we're burning bright. Alright, 'cause we are timeless. Our future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we're still living. And we're still
All right, and we are back for game number 2 between OverSoul Esports Scream and Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. And we're about to see if Syndicate can take this 2-0 or if OverSoul Esports Scream can take us to a game 3. And on that note, what are your thoughts for that?
I think this game is going to be interesting just because now Syndicate has all 3 bans. So I'm really curious to see what they target in this game, considering they only needed 1 ban to win game number 1. Maybe they just won't choose to ban 2 champions and say we can do it again. But I think OverSoul might just have the same focus, just ban out that Skarner, the Viego, and even the Zinzao, and then see what Trad still does have in his jungle champion pool. But I mean, I think the way Syndicate won game number 1 draft and even just the game in general, I think they can play almost anything that they want to and be fine here in this game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed like most of that game was just kind of the macro winning it out for Syndicate, because a lot of the early game trades, they were fairly even favoring OverSoul, and that's with them picking weaker lanes. And once the objective started spawning and Trad was just all over them, just was first to every single one, always managed to secure it, that's when the game really started turning the way of Syndicate.
Yeah, so okay. So Syndicate still is missing 2 bans for some reason, I believe. So it looks like, as I joked about, it is going to come true. They only need 1 ban here in this game number 2 to potentially get the 2-0 series win here. But OverSoul not changing any bans whatsoever. They're just choosing to switch sides to go to the red side. But now, first pick Lilia for Trad here in the jungle.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I mean, this is definitely a more carry-oriented pick. I've seen Lilia's absolutely pop off, and the Udyr going to be the response. I assume this is also going to be played in the jungle, and I think Udyr can play into Lilia, so should be a pretty interesting matchup there.
Yeah, I'm looking into solo queue data here. It's about a 50-50 matchup for this jungle matchup of the Lilia versus the Udyr. So it can go either way, just because Udyr is able to have that invulnerability to the ultimate and can also have kind of sort of sticking power on top of Lilia. But it really just comes down to how they play it. But Tristana going to be the potential ADC carry pickup here for the side of OverSouls. I think Trist is a very strong champion currently, whether it is in the jungle, I'm going crazy, in the mid lane or in the AD carry. I think Tristana is so strong right now in the current game. So really curious to see what Syndicate has as a response to that pick.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen Tristana been played in just so many different games. I mean, we saw it literally just a couple hours ago in the NACL promotion tournament. Shochi played an amazing game on that Tristana mid, though. I do agree. I think most likely this will be in the bot lane. And speaking of marksmen that could go both bot lane and mid lane, Corki gonna get locked in for Syndicate, and a pretty common reply to the Tristana.
Yeah, and Corki is another one of those AD carries who is really strong right now. Not as strong as Tristana. I think Tristana is one of the best AD carries on this current patch, but Corki isn't a slouch in his own right. That level 1 power from Corki is so strong in the bot lane with that Gatling gun, giving that armor and MR shred, and then the auto attacks coming through is so devastating if you are on the end of a wrong trade down there in the bottom lane. But then the side of Syndicate gonna go with the SYN pick up here in the top lane for CZI. So played a little bit of the carry in game number 1, gonna go for the tank in game number 2 because this time his jungler is on the carry.
Maybe they heard you speaking about CZI, maybe going the Baus route. And I mean, I don't think there's any champion in the game that is more synonymous with the Baus than SYN. And actually, I'm a little bit surprised by this. Sorry, I'm cutting myself off here, and then I apologize. Not sure what happened there, but but Orianna locked in. I'm very surprised about this pick when you already have the Udyr. I think it's going to be so difficult to play with the ball.
Yeah, I also don't like OverSoul just going jungle, AD carry, mid lane again like they did in game number 1. Just because, like, yeah, Blue Castle kind of got a counter pick in the top lane. Jax beats Aatrox. He just loses early. But now they're going to leave their counter pick for Blue Castle. I think it would have been better used on Crash. I think Crash, despite with a lot of focus being on him in that game number 1, I think he was playing well in the early levels, and I think he has what it takes to be that carry for them. But I think just blind picking this Orianna, especially with no real ball carrier, you just have an angry man running at people, it's going to be pretty difficult to have some impactful Orianna ultimates in this game. Normally you see Orianna with the J4 or the Sejuani or even the Nocturne, but this game it's kind of going to be all on Crash to get his own shockwaves available in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, just even looking at draft theory, they already know the top lane matchup. They already know the jungle top lane matchup. They already know what their jungler is. I think there's no reason they don't just slam a top laner as their last pick, unless they're just really worried that the Orianna will get banned. But I mean, I don't expect that an Orianna would be banned. I don't think there's any reason for Syndicate to ban it. And then even if they didn't want to go through the top route, I think they could have just elected to go for their support here, because the support is the pool that SGW has been really targeting in that second phase of bans. And last time they ended up picking up the Rel, and the Rel did have some good engages, to be fair, but I still don't think it was the pick that they needed. I don't think it completely changed the game. I think they just happened to do well on it. I don't know if it was worth it.
I don't like OverSoul's draft anymore whatsoever. They have Tristarna, Karma bottom lane. That is not a bot lane duo that you ever see paired up together unless you're playing solo queue and somebody's just like spamming Karma or spamming Tristana. This is not something that you see a lot. Also, the engage right now, it is just on this Udyr and on a shockwave out of Orianna. And now SGW is drafting even more engage. You have the Nautilus now for the bot lane, and Corki and Nautilus, that is a powerful bot lane duo. I am a notorious Nautilus hater. I still hate this champion. I always will, just because I think he's kind of weak right now, but like he still does exactly what you want Nautilus to do. You just hope you have the Nautilus hooks that are the good ones and not the inting ones. But speak too soon and you get burned. It's actually the Corki in the mid lane and the Sivir pick up bot lane here for all Gucci.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer the Sivir into this, honestly. I think the Sivir can block a lot of the damage coming out from both the Tristana and the Karma. And again, like Chase Groggy actually pointed out in the chat, so Trist, Karma is a push lane. That's all you do. You're just shoving the lane and trying to take the tower. Sivir's so good at countering that. Sivir's probably the best at clearing waves from the AD carry role. As we see the Cho'Gath locked in the top lane. Both pretty stack heavy top laners there.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, Syndicate just has the better draft again. I think OverSoul's draft is so much more difficult to play, while Syndicate is so straightforward. It is Teamfight City. You are playing for your Lilia, your Corki, and your Sivir, while you have two beefy guys up in the front taking all the damage and getting these engages, while OverSoul, they are hoping for Tristana resets. They're hoping for Udyr and Cho'Gath to be tanky enough for Crash to get these big shockwaves. It is so situational for the side of OverSoul, while Syndicate is just straightforward, get to objectives, force a team fight, win every single time.
Yeah, now, again, I asked this the last game, time to ask again. Nameplates off, which of these drafts do you favor?
If I'm in solo queue, I would take OverSouls just because people would have picked these champs unless they feel like they can win on them. But for competitive play, I think it's Syndicate's like straightforward. I think that draft is so much easier to play because even if your Sivir, Corki, or Lilia are in ahead, you have somebody else there as the secondary or tertiary. And even if two of them are in ahead and only one of them is, they can still carry a team fight in this game.
Now, having said that, well, how do you think OverSoul need to play into this composition?
You have to pray that your Cho'Gath is able to get big enough to eat all the poke and damage that could come out from this Lilia, Corki, Sivir, and same with your Udyr, and be able to create enough space for Crash and Mystic to lay out the DPS with the range that they do have over the Corki and the Sivir, and then hope that Crash can get a big 3, 4, 5-man shockwave to be able to disrupt the team fight. But it is going to be difficult for OverSoul. It's a little bit easier to get nice shockwaves with Udyr being your ball carrier because you have the Karma to speed him up, but overall, I just think the OverSoul draft is going to be difficult, but there are angles to be able to get it if you're able to set up on team fights. People lose track of balls into the team fight, and you're able to get a surprising shockwave that they were like, didn't know the Orianna ball was there, but it's going to be hard for them in this game number 2.
All right. Well, with that, it's time we go to another break. And when we come back, we're going to have game number 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the Rift in just one moment. And we are back with game number 2 between OverSoul Esports Scream and Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. And Syndicate could just run away with it here if they manage to win this game number 2.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. We were talking about it with the Oversoul draft that they had. It's going to be really difficult for them to start team fights. They have to look for counter engages and, be able to potentially get either your Udyr far enough ahead or Cho'Gath where they can kind of just run at the enemy team and get the fight started the way that you want to for the side of Oversoul. While Syndicate, they have multiple options to be able to start a team fight. So it's really going to be the onus is on Oversoul this game to push the tempo, to get a lead, to be able to be in a good position to win team fights, to be able to win this game number 2. But also looking at, runes, mastery, summary spells, keystones, all that fun stuff. Everything's just stock standard in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's always more fun to watch it when it is stock standard. At least in my opinion, I know a lot of people disagree, but I think when it is, that's where you can see exactly how the teams play more as pretty a big level 1 trade. I mean, I think Corki will always win the level 1 trade into the Orianna, especially with that Gatling gun available. It's just such a powerful ability.
Yeah, I was talking about it when it was supposed to be the bot lane Corki, but you can see it here in the mid lane. The shred that you get of the MR, and as we see the hook at a D-shot here, not gonna get much. A nice trade overall there in the bot lane.
Yeah, they're actually trading for quite a while, too. I mean, that's not typical what you expect from the Sivir Nautilus bot lane. But, I mean, with that early advantage, they should be able to farm safer for quite a bit longer, as we do know Sivir needs a lot of CS to be able to scale.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple patches ago, Sivir got buffed, and you and me were talking about it in a different stream, but the early damage bonus that you get out of those ricochets now is so huge, and we saw it there at level 1. A lot of times, Sivir used to start that Q at level 1, but now you can just start ricochet and absolutely shred people in those quick exchanges, because it is an auto attack reset. So if you auto pop the W and auto again, the amount of damage that you get is just immense, and you saw it work exactly there in the mid lane.
Oh, and now the dredge line is going to land, and the heal actually has to get forced out. Unfortunately, D-Shot not going to be able to get that reset on the route, but dredge line should be coming back up soon, and Mystic was still in range, but will back up just in time.
Yeah, I mean, so far, we're seeing an evade here on the red buff, but it looks like we're going to pan away because nothing is going to be coming out of that one, but just, CS exchanging up at the top lane, a little bit of trading every so often between Espada and Blue Castle. But in the mid lane, Sean is down in HP right now because he had the one less pot to crash 2, but he's going to be able to get...
Oh, Mystic's actually going to go in with a rocket jump. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get the reset. I mean, the spell shield is there, so that explosion shot does not do anything. And instead, they're just going to turn around on a silly Goofy, but the flash just in time. Mist is in the area. Can it land? And will again just go right between them. So first blood is still on the table, and they're actually electing to stay.
Yeah, I mean, Syndicate won that trade because All Gucci still has both his summoning spells. Mystic had to use the barrier, only has the flash available. Silly Goofy using both summoning spells to keep themselves alive here as well. So overall, Syndicate is just winning in the bottom lane, and now All Gucci has that coal in his inventory as well. So everybody knows the Sivir of old, 500 CS, so on and so forth. That's what All Gucci is looking to do here again in this game, bring it back to the Sivirs of old. And we were talking about it when they drafted the Tristana Karma, that it has to be a pushing bottom lane. That's not working. The Sivir is out winning in the 1v1 in the 2v2 trades, in the push as well. So overall, Syndicate having a better bot lane go around in this game number 2 than the side of OVS's.
Yeah, and especially with the frontline competition, because, I mean, this is a pure just run at you team comp from OverSoul, and Sivir does extremely well into those. The Hunt will let the peel work a lot better, just able to self-kite, and then at the same time, just the Ricochet. We brought it up so many times, but it's just so strong in this game. Just going to be able to absolutely melt from the front line into the back line. That's how Sivir likes to fight. As a spot, actually completely out of mana here, and Blue Castle can kind of start having their way with a spot up here, can kind of just do whatever they want safely.
Yeah, and that's the power of Cho'Gath. With that passive, you're getting that mana back whenever you do get those kills on minions, and he hasn't really been using abilities to trade back. Espada's been the aggressor on a lot of these trades, while Blue Castle has just been absorbing it and looking to get the CS, and we see that work out to his advantage. Espada is now stuck under his own turret with no mana. Half the plate damage there for Blue Castle. Also is level 6, so has the angle to potentially look for a solo queue, but
Mystic gonna jump in. Explosive shot shouldn't be able to get the kill.
Oh.
Actually will get blocked by the barrier. So the
I
spell
thought you
shield,
spell shielded it.
the spell shield was used on the Mantra Inner Flame just before then. So, and I think that's why Mystic decided to go in. So that is actually going to be a summoner burned by old Gucci.
Yeah, and you were talking also about how good Sivir is into run at you team comms, but we never talked about how good the Lilia is into it as a whole.
Yep.
Thought.
And now we are going to be starting a team fight. They are aiming towards Crash. Level 6 is available. Shockwave lands onto 3. And now Mystic going to be jumping through. They get first blood, but they still need to back away. The health buffs are so low as Deathmaster barely able to walk away. So that will be a first blood going over to OverSoul. But Syndicate will be able to secure themselves the dragon. And I'm really not sure which one's the clear victor in this trade.
Hard to tell at this point. I mean, Deathmaster got the kill. He did use Flash, which I thought was really questionable, but then it ended up working because there was no pressure on him. He just kind of flashed to his teammates for some reason, but then it ended up working out fine. They got the kill on the All Gucci, and that's also because of the punish that came out of Mystic to pop that barrier. Maybe if All Gucci had barrier, he could have lived there and actually put out a lot more DPS with Sean, but not able to work. But back to the thought I was on before, you talked about how good Sivir is into running you team comms. Lilia is also so good at them. If you stack up those booming blows, you get all that movement speed on the Q, you can just duck and weave away from the team, looking for constant harass with that Q, with the E, even with the watch out Eve as well, and then just run away from the enemy team. So it can be really difficult for OverSoul to even lock down this Lilia if she gets ahead and in later games. And you see Lilia so good at clearing these camps up 10 CS, gonna keep looking for these advantages, probably just gonna go to the Scuttle Crab here and look to take that away. And Lilia is one of those junglers who is able to just solo away Void Grubs.
Ooh, but they did manage to break Espada's recall and will be able to land the Rupture as well. And they might just be able to run down Espada here. The Flash is going to get forced out, and there's no TP either. Unstoppable Onslaught can be used to get back into the wave, but I guess with the current wave state may not be necessary. And in fact, we're seeing All Gucci roaming up to the top side, so definitely won't be necessary as they will be sending Espada down to the bot lane.
Yeah, it looks like Syndicate is just looking to go for these grubs. We saw them do this in game number 1 as well, knowing timers really well and macro, getting that 8-minute swath. And Espada, he did have to use Flash, but he didn't die, so he was able to get down to bottom lane. Now he's looking for Mystic, but not going to land the Unstoppable Onslaught onto that one.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the play was just getting into lane, as actually they're going to look onto Silly Goofy. Quite a bit of damage going back and forth, but Sean could be in a dangerous spot as well. In fact, will Valkyrie forward and gets the burst damage necessary, and with D-Shot peeling, I think it just get back out as now Deathmaster opponent could be the next target. Miz trying to kite away, but with the feast, they're going to be able to get that kill. Now, Old Gucci able to get the kill back, but you're not going to be running away from a Cho'Gath. So a victory on the top side for OverSoul, and they're winning in the offlane. You said you needed that Cho'Gath to become huge, and 1-0-1. I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the Cho'Gath who All Gucci couldn't run away from. He could not run away from the Udyr empowered ultimate to be able to have that thing be still in the area once the Udyr did die. It was slowing All Gucci that whole time, getting the damage down, and Deathmaster was able to get that kill onto All Gucci as well. This Udyr now sitting with 2 kills is slightly ahead of Mist in gold, I believe, because of the kill participation. But now Mist is still looking to fight around these grubs. They picked up the first one. They're just looking for one more, but now could be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, the next fight is definitely going to be breaking out here, but Sean is in the area as well. And now All Gucci could be flanking with that legendary Sivir flank from the side, but I mean, right now, because of the prio, All Gucci can just kind of start throwing those boomerangs, and they're just going to be able to take both of them pretty safely. So that is going to be all 3 Void Grubs going towards Syndicate, as once again they're just maintaining their objective control. But now Sean is going to get silenced, is going to get rooted up as well, but the damage is there. Deathmaster Pose is going to be the one to go down instead, and the shockwave does land, but it's still an early game Orianna. The damage isn't there, but Sean will be able to bring it out. 3-0 on this Corki.
Yeah, you talked about the flanking Sivir, and it actually worked out because he did so much damage to Deathmaster. And then for some reason, OverSoul was looking to continue to push forward to look for a fight afterwards. And because Deathmaster just had no HP bar, was able to get quickly burnt down. And then the rest of the CC and chase down came out from the Syndicate comp, and Sean is the benefactor of it. Now sitting 3-0 on this Corki, up almost 1,000 gold at this point in the game. This Corki normally is known for the scaling, for the damage that comes out later in the game, but if he gets accelerated and he gets that Triforce at about 12 minutes, this Corki is a menace in the early game as well now because of the gold acceleration that he has on him.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, again, Syndicate, they did start off a little bit weaker than expected, but they're up 1.2k gold. They have all the objectives so far. Second Dragon is going to be spawning in 30 seconds. So we'll see if they're able to secure that for themselves as well. But, I mean, it just kind of seems like a repeat of game number 1. The fights are close, but they were close up until they weren't. When SJW were just able to stack up all of the gold from the turrets, all the stats from the objectives, and at that point, OverSoul just wasn't able to continue playing.
Yeah, and now you have Sean on that Triforce. You have Mist on the Leandry, so they are stronger as the 4v4 for this Dragon number 2 because the only person with a completed item on OverSoul is Blue Castle in this top lane with that Heartsteel, but he's not going to be coming to this fight. He already used the TP. Espada used the Unstoppable Onslaught to the top lane, so he could look to potentially fall back behind his turret and TP down to this Dragon fight if they need to. Like, you see OverSoul has the vision control in the bot side jungle, but it doesn't matter because they just can't contest because they are weaker, but Sean has to flash away in the mid lane from Silly Goofy.
Yeah, but again, Sean was able to provide quite a bit of pressure in the mid lane, and that's just going to be another Dragon, and just, again, completely uncontested on the side of OverSoul. And especially when you pick a Cho'Gath, I would have definitely liked to see a lot more emphasis on fighting for those objectives. As now the flash coming in from D-Shot, not going to be able to land onto Deathmaster Bones. But now Deathmaster Bones looking for the root. They're going to be able to get it. Now they're trading back and forth. Depth Charge going to land into the backline. Deathmaster Bones looking for someone in the backline. Will be able to get D-Shot. But again, Sean able to get that kill and trade it back. Lilting Lullaby will land, but Mist was currently in that tether coming out from the Karma. So not going to be able to follow up, but a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. And again, SJW, they always seem content to take those because they know they'll play the late game better.
Yeah, and also Sean, once again, with another kill, doesn't fall down in that play. This Corki will be a problem. He scales so well, and now he's so accelerated that it's just going to be impossible for OverSoul to be able to do something about it unless they're picking him off early. He had no flash in that play, and he still got to play it for free, did not fall down in it at all. And you're seeing they're just continuing to accrue item advantages. You have all Gucci now on that Essence Reaver. There is kind of like the 2 Sivir builds. You have the Essence Reaver one, and then I've seen sometimes like Yuntal IE come out of Sivir as well, but it looks like we're getting the Essence Reaver Flicker Blade build. I mean, they're both builds for separate reasons. I'm a personal fan of Essence Reaver just because of how much mana Sivir does burn through, but I mean, the side of SJW, they're taking these nail-biting team fights and actually...
Oh, Shockwave is going to land onto Sean. Silly Goofy is in the area, but again, the follow-up isn't there. And with Red Buff, should be able to regen at least some of it back before any more pressure comes through, as all Gucci just able to farm plates in the bot lane. We are approaching that 40-minute mark, and I wonder if the play is looking towards Sean, and they're going to flash for it. And that is a shutdown, so that is a lot of gold going the way of OverSoul. So I actually kind of like that play, especially if they're able to turn that into mid-tier 1. But it looks like all Gucci should be able to secure the one in the bot lane, though Mystic will try to prevent that.
Yeah, they got the big shutdown onto Sean and worked out really well, especially with crashing that Shockwave beforehand, forcing down so low. He still had no flash from the earlier play out of Silly Goofy with that tether, so able to just end up falling down. Yes, Deathmaster does have the flash for it, but it is worth at the end of the day to get that shutdown. They don't get the turret in mid lane. The turret does go over to the side of OverSoul.
I don't know if you can walk that way. Rupture is going to go wide, but again, Espada just kind of caught in between them. Does have flash, and in fact, Mist is there. Could be looking to turn around, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Mist just going with the Lilting Lullaby, and that's going to be the sleep. That's going to be Eve coming through. A Deathmaster Bones is going to go down. Blue Castle flashed away, but still gets hit by the tail end of that. So Blue Castle will get traded back. And that's just going to be another 2-0 with one of those kills once again going to Sean.
Yeah, and also the feats of warfare was picked up by SJW because they got the objectives. They got the bot lane turret as well. They lost out on the feats of warfare. I mean, they got the feats of strength overall. They lost the first 3 kills, but because of neutral objectives and all Gucci getting that bot lane turret, able to pick that up for themselves. And you said Espada might not be able to walk that way. He was allowed to walk that way. Normally, Mundo goes where he pleases, but apparently SYN was able to in that game. Missed, able to land a nice 2-man swirl seed, which was followed up by Espada getting a 2-man unstoppable onslaught, which just created the chaos up there in the top lane. And like you said, Sean TP's up for it and gets himself a kill as well. This Corki is still a factor in this game, still a massive threat in this game, and getting another kill for himself, he's going to be feeling good about that one. I would like to see a few more kills on Lilia, but I guess
Shockwave's going to go out into the top side. No, Gucci forced to flash away. Really well timed right after the spell shield was used just for that command attack.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen All Gucci get punished twice now for those spell shields. He also used barrier in that play as well and could still be under threat here coming from Crash. So he's going to look to just back away and not be, you know, forced to potentially fall down up here in the top lane. Just going to walk back, potentially take a reset, but it looks like he's just going to walk towards mid lane and then go back top lane saying, okay, Sean said he's got mid lane. I'll just go back top and farm the next wave that comes into me. But right now, Syndicate is having firm control over this game number 2 again, as we saw in game number 1. Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. Syndicate is going to look to fight for that one, as OverSoul is as well. It can be hard to out-smite the Cho'Gath Feast smite combo that OverSoul does have, but if they get a nice team fight beforehand, it should just be Syndicates.
Yeah, and I do like that, at least for now, it looks like OverSoul do want to contest onto it. As now Silly Goofy could be the target, is not going to be able to flash over, and it's just going to get taken out. But there is more numbers here on OverSoul, and now Sean gonna get jumped on. Mystic able to get that kill. They're able to find 2. Mist going to be the next target. Lilting Lullaby only going to find its way onto Blue Castle. And I'm surprised it went that far forward without all Gucci. That's going to be a pretty big play for OverSoul. A 2-for-1 and the Dragon to boot.
Yeah, this is Season 1 split push Sivir here up in the top lane for All Gucci. Just going to use that on the hunt to get away. Got another turret for himself. And yes, they did that team fight without Sivir, but now she's got even more gold in her pocket. The coal has been popped. You got another solo turret for yourself up there in the top lane. Yes, you lose Sean. You also lose D-Shot. You lose the Dragon. But the more gold you get on the Sivir, the better, as they're looking onto All Gucci now. But the people who could be in trouble is Mystic and Silly Goofy.
Yeah, Silly Goofy definitely gone a little bit too far. The Decimating Smash, more than enough damage, especially with that Boomerang Blade from the back. And now they're looking for more. Deathmaster Prone starting to get low. Another Decimating Smash is going to go there. And Mist just able to get the final kill. And Lilting Lullaby will find Mystic, but with Rocket Jump, will be able to back down to safety. And actually, how did that happen?
Leandries and passive burn on Mystic drew turret aggro onto Mist, so he ended up dying to the turret shot.
I mean, you definitely take that. That's going to be the first kill of the game to Mystic. Going over that way. And again, Blue Castle over in that side lane, going to be able to get a turret. So this game so far, it's not being run away. Last time we saw at this point in the game, SJW, they got one big fight with that dive in the top lane, and they got themselves a 5-6K gold lead. This time around, OverSoul definitely keeping the game a lot closer.
Yeah, it is still a 3K gold lead here, but you just have to look at inventories and items. Mist is on the double mask build. Sean's on 2 items. I believe All Gucci is now on 2 items as well, as it is just everybody's on 1 except for Blue Castle on this Cho'Gath, who is on 2. But overall, SGW is about half an item up on their counterparts. As you see Castle flip over to that Shadow Flame there in the mid lane, but it's looking better in this game for OverSoul. You needed the important people to start getting tanky, which is the Udyr, which is the Cho'Gath, and they are doing that. They are able to tank up this damage for a long time. You just need Crash and Mystic to be there to be able to start putting out the damage for the side of OverSoul, and they're able to. We saw how close the mid lane fight was overall. I mean, everybody on the side of SJW got low. Mist even fell from the turret shot to Mystic, but it is still going to be difficult for OverSoul to come back into this game. They only got the top lane outer turret. They need to break open mid and bottom lane to get some more of the standing gold for themselves. But also, it's the objectives that are the thing that are going to be under threat. Otacon is spawning in the next 10 seconds, and you see the side of SGW already setting up for a pick on this top side.
Yeah, they're looking towards Mystic, but Rocket Jump just going to be able to jump over the wall. So that's unstoppable onslaught actually burned. before the team fight starts, and that could be a pretty major cooldown out of the way in favor of OverSoul. And now both sides just starting to group towards Sadakon, and Deathmaster opponents even going in a little bit. They're able to land this Royal Seed onto Silly Goofy, but the fight has started. Depth Charge going into the backline, able to find its way onto 3. And now with the flash, but unfortunately the Decimating Smash not going to be in range. But they did manage to push OverSoul off of the objective. And now D-Shot trying to buy some space and will even summon the Rift Herald. That's going to be walking through into the top lane. I'm assuming that was about to expire, but now the team fight starting to break open. And Mist dealing so much damage to everyone. Lilting Lullaby got to be coming through, but the Feast coming in, and Mist will go down first now with the Rupture. And oh, unfortunately, the ball is not going to be able to land. The Shockwave hits no one, but they're still winning the fight. Now Oguchi is free hitting onto the backline. Deathmaster prone still sitting on the Otacon. And the Otacon really having with the shred, and they're able to land the Dredge line onto Mystic. Do they have the damage followed? They do not. The shielding coming through is more than enough, and the smite is going to come in. So Deathmaster Prones will be able to get the Otacon for OverSoul, and the explosive charge Mystic getting quite a bit of damage. Rocket jumping in, and will be Goomba stomping across all of them. And just like that, OverSoul, they should be able to get the ace, and that's a triple kill going over to Mystic. We talked about the Sivir scaling, but now we have the scaling Tristana 5-0-3.
Yeah, that was a bad fight for the side of SJW. They took the Otacon for so long. It was started up by D-Shot, actually, trying to hit a dredge line onto Deathmaster Pones, but it hit the Otacon, which started it up, which started just shredding everybody's resistances in that team fight. But Crash and Mystic spaced in that team fight flawlessly and were able to execute on the extra damage that they were having coming out, the extra shielding and movement speed thanks to this karma, and able to turn that fight in their favor. Now you have to be worried about this Tristana. You have to be worried about this Orianna. Both of them are extremely strong right now. 1-8-0-8 for Crash with that Blighting Jewel now in inventory. You have Mystic on 2 items, 5-0-3 on this Tristana. All Gucci will lose that 1v1. He is outranged by this Tristana, so it needs to be clean, decisive team fights for the side of SJW to be able to win them. They're now only up 1,000 gold, and I said it was going to be hard for OVS to come back in this one.
Mystic
and be able
jumping into all Gucci. Blue Castle's there as well, but the dredge line is going to land, and now they're going to be able to take down Mystic right at the start of that fight. And now it's a front to back, and that's exactly what all Gucci can do. Unstoppable Onslaught is going to stun up the front line as well. And look at that DPS just coming through. But the Feast will trade back on a D-Shot, but it's still 4 versus 3. They're still looking for more. They don't have any more engaged. Mist just going to be trying to kite them forward as the Shockwave is going to land under the backline, and Mist going to get taken down. And that's actually the jungler once again going to be missing. All Gucci trying to DPS onto Deathmaster opponents. But look at the shielding coming through. They need that Serpent's Fang. But instead, they're still looking forward. Deathmaster opponents trying to chase backwards. But again, with the Decimating Smash, this could look backwards. And now Deathmaster, down to about 1/5 of the HP, will have the Honey Fruit. And people are starting to respawn back in. Mystic is back on the map. D-Shot is back on the map. So it could just be another fight for this dragon coming soon. And now Deathmaster opponents, he's going to be starting it up right away. Mist is still down for 3 seconds, so there is no smite for Syndicate. And the TP actually going to be coming through. I believe that's Blue Castle. And so with that, Syndicate, they're just going to give up this dragon, and another teamfight victory going the way of OverSoul.
Yeah, I don't think they need the Serpent's Fang. They need heal cut at this point. You need that Mortar Reminder on your Sivir, even potentially on your Corki in this game, maybe even the Morello onto Mist as well, because this Karma, yes, she does a lot of shielding, but Cho'Gath and Udyr have so much innate healing in their kit, and also with the Moonstone Renewer on Silly Goofy, the amount of healing that they do in these team fights is impactful, and we saw it there. They got a lot of damage on the Deathmaster opponents, but it did not matter because he was basically full health by the time he started up the dragon. And I mean, OVS looking a lot better in this game number 2. They are putting SJW in a spot where it is becoming difficult. And now with another Chemtech Soul, this is a soul you don't want either side to get in this game, especially OVS, because of Udyr, because of Cho'Gath. They can play on low health bars, especially with the Sivir. With the Karma shielding and healing that can come through, especially with that soul, it can be really difficult for SJW to punch through that. So these dragons are going to be the focus throughout this entire game now, with both teams sitting at 2.
Yeah, and Serpent's Fang actually was completed by Sean. And I'm assuming all Gucci's going to be the one to get that heal cut. I think especially with the, with the Ricochet, they're going to be able to just kind of get it onto everyone. And I think they just need both. To be completely honest, like you said, the healing that they have is insane, but the shielding, it's not just the karma. They have a lot coming in from the Udyr. They have some coming in from the Orianna. And with the Chemtech Dragons, that's going to be even more shielding and healing coming in. And they already have 2. So this is just going to be interesting to see. They are going to have so much sustain on the side of OverSoul. But now Sean forced to flash away, but Deathmaster Pone still in the area, going to land the stun. And I think Sean's just going to go down here, just going to get burst away. And Blue Castle's going to be able to get that kill.
Yeah, Sean face checked at a spot where he didn't have vision and ended up getting punished for it. That's, like I said, Udyr is an angry man who is just going to run at you, and that is exactly what he did, and it's empowered by the Karma shielding that gives you the movement speed as well, but now they actually could be the ones.
Yeah, but Mystic coming in from the side, going to jump onto Olguchi, but will block this shot. And now look at the shielding coming through. Mystic starting at super low, but not going to get taken down. Will be able to flash away to safety. The Deathmaster Pone's trying to run down Olguchi, and with the flash forward, will be able to. And Deathmaster Pose is just literally running away with the game, just running straight forward and just taking everyone down who's in their way. And now Espada looks to be the next target. Same with Mist. They're trying to kite back. Dredgeline is going to land. Rupture lands on it too. Feast going to take down D-Shot, and Espada, the last surviving member. And they're just going to ignore Espada. I think they could have taken him down, but they decided it's not even worth the time.
Yeah, Syndicate is just not being respectful of what OverSoul is able to do in this game with the power that they have at this current point. They are now down 2,000 gold. They're going to be down the Baron, and OverSoul is going to be looking like they're pushing us through game number 3. Like you just said, Deathmaster Pones is just running them over, doing whatever he wants in this game. He is just absolutely starting to shred through both Sean and Olguchi and even Mist in this one. So it is going to be even harder now for SJW to come back in this one. You saw they almost burst down Mystic, but the huge empowered Monster Shield from Silly Goofy was able to keep him alive. So it is just so hard for SJW to do anything right now. They're just not playing respectfully.
Yeah, but they do have those major items coming in. And in fact, looking over at the gold lead, most of it is going to be in that jungle and top, kind of like we mentioned. Blue Castle and Deathmaster Pones, they're the two that are kind of really carrying the team forward. But if Olguchi and Sean are able to get their core items, and they have the Serpent's Fang complete, I believe the Mortal Reminder isn't quite finished, but yeah, there we go. Both components are done. So that will be coming through soon, and the heal cut is already there. So Olguchi and Sean will be able to DPS soon. So if they find a good team fight, it's definitely still winnable for SJW, but the fights are definitely going to get a lot harder from now on.
Yeah, and we're also starting to see my flaw with Nautilus. He just gets melted anytime he does try to go in if he is on even footing because his resistances are actually so low. Like, yes, D-Shot's getting some great hooks as Shockwave is a miss in the bottom lane on the Sean, but he's still going to have to give up this turret, I believe. But D-Shot, he gets some nice hooks. He goes in and gets a nice engage, but it doesn't matter because he gets immediately burnt down and shredded from the side of OVS. So it's starting to become even harder to play not only this Nautilus, but also this Lilia in this game because they have the point and target CC for him.
Yeah, but now the TP going to be coming through in the mid lane, and the next dragon is about to spawn, and Mystic actually taking a lot of damage just from the ricochet and just the Swirl Seed coming through from Mist. I'm actually surprised. That's about a third of the HP missing. That's pretty significant, but the Honey Fruit will be there. We'll give that extra shielding as well. And they're a little bit late onto this play. I'm not even sure if Syndicate can contest onto this. They have no vision. They don't see the dragon. Yeah, they're just going to back away. And I think with the setup that they had on the side of OverSoul, that is the right call. You definitely do not want to be fighting that.
Yeah.
Oh, but Deathmaster Pones disagrees. Deathmaster Pones definitely wants to start fighting this. Looking towards Mist, but again, the move speed, the kiting, they're finally starting to play more passively. They're finally starting to play more relaxed. And I think that'll help SJW quite a bit.
Yeah, he saw Espada was trying to split push up in the top lane, but it was responded to by a TP out of Crash, so he's not able to get that turret. So OverSoul is just playing these objectives smart and then having the response play to what's happening on the cross side with the teleport to response. But now Espada could actually be caught out here.
Yeah, I don't think they really have the damage to take down Espada with him. I think Mystic has to be there if they want to take him that close to the turret. And now they're still looking for this tier 2, and again, the wave clear is really strong, and now the dredge line is going to land. They're looking for Deathmaster Pones as D-Shot with the explosive charge just going to get melted. Another, they have the depth charge going through the backline is missed. Also will get taken down. It's a 2-0. And now Olguchi going to be the next on the chopping block, trying to DPS back in. Deathmaster Phones might have gone a little bit too far, and that's actually going to be a shutdown going back the way of all Gucci. And in the meanwhile, Sean is taking the tier 3 and might even go for the inhib. No, will be trying to reset instead. Sean, stop that. Okay, Sean's backing away, not trying to make me look like a fool there.
I mean, he could have gone for the inhibitor because you see that there were no recalls coming out just yet for the side of OVS. I mean, Crash was coming up, but I think Sean actually probably could have gotten that inhibitor up there or down there in the bottom lane.
Yeah, but now all Gucci could be in a bad spot. Trellius has been used, but will be able to walk out to safety just as the explosive charge lands. So no big play is going to be there, but they're starting to play more respectively. And you said that's how they lost the last few fights. So SJW definitely starting to come back into this a bit.
And I mean, we also saw what I was talking about with Nautilus. He got the hook in and then immediately was deleted by the team of OVS. Despite them getting a nice amount of damage onto Deathmaster, it did not matter because they were just able to turn it around and destroy the Nautilus. So it's still really hard for the side of SJW in this game. They still have to continue to play respectful, to look for potentially cross map plays or try to like get slow chases, which their comp can do effectively. But OVS still has all the pressure in their hands. They are on that soul point. They can look to press a fight whenever they want with Deathmaster and Blue Castle. But SJW, they aren't turning over. They aren't giving up on this one because this game isn't over. They are still able to come back in this one with some nice team fight potential that they do have in this comp they drafted.
Yeah, I mean, it's still important to note they are very much in the lead right now. They're on soul point. They could get soul at any moment. If they just need the one good fight for themselves as well. I think it's just kind of interesting how kind of back and forth this entire game has been. SJW, they did pretty decently early on. They didn't get as big a lead. OVS were definitely able to keep it a lot closer. And then in this mid to late game, OVS just kind of really exploded. And yes, you can say that a lot of that was mistakes on the side of SJW. They were kind of not respecting the play. They were kind of playing a bit too far. But at the same time, being able to take those moments, being able to recognize that they're out of position and just full sending on it, because there was no hesitation on the side of OVS for that. So, I mean, at this point, I think the game is pretty much fully even. It's a difference of 2K, but at 33 minutes, it really doesn't matter. So whoever wins these next few fights, I think they're the ones that are going to come out on top.
Yeah, and with Baron spawning in 10 seconds, we are going to see one of those fights coming soon. You see final resets starting to be taken here for both sides, mostly on the side of SJW, but that means full control to OVS in this Baron area. You have Sean, oh no, Espada might not have wanted taking that blast cone, but he's a Scion. He will be okay at the end of the day. But both Sean and Blue Castle are in the bottom lane, both of them with teleports available to themselves. So going to be able to look to TP up to potential Baron plays that are looking like they are brewing. But Dragon is all spawning in 45 seconds, so the attention could be swapped to that side of the map. Depends on what teams are prioritizing at this point in the game.
I mean, my honest opinion here, I don't know if Sean is the one that should be split pushing. I think the amount of damage that Sean can bring out, especially with that Serpent's Fang already purchased, that's something you buy for the team. That's not something you buy for the split push. And we saw her earlier, D-Shot landed a hook, but they weren't able to burst down Deathmaster Phones. A lot of that was from that Karma Shield, from the balls, Command Protect coming through, and just the Turtle Stance. But if they had that extra shield cut, that would have been a kill. And D-Shot not only could have survived, but they could have just continued and could have gotten more. So I definitely would prefer to see them do a 4-1 strat where Espada is the one off to the side. But right now it's going to be Espada grouping with the team first, and all 5 members actually got a group for this Dragon, and they definitely have the inside track. They might be able to just get this, or at the very least start a fight, and now they're looking for it. Deathmaster Phone's going to be the first one. Tower starting to get taken down low, flashes away, and now the unstoppable onslaught is going to get used, and it's just Blue Castle tagging the front line. Sean looking for a Mystic, but not able to find the play as Mist goes into the backline. Lilting Lullaby does land onto two. It's going to be on to Crash, but in the meanwhile, all Gucci taking so much damage. Blue Castle's still alive, and the final rocket not going to be able to get the kill. And somehow both sides are on blinking health bars, and no one's going down. Both these teams, they are going to be resetting. They will be back on the map soon. And TP is available for Sean. TP is available for Blue Castle. So it's going to be 4 versus 4 for a little while. And then the 5th members from both teams are going to be rejoining, as now they're looking for the stun, but it's just going to be on a Blue Castle. So either way, wouldn't matter even if it did land. But a lot of trading going back and forth as, again, both sides just grouping towards that dragon and the explosive charge onto Espada. They landed the dredge line, but it is on a blue castle. I don't know if that's a target they can blow up, but they're looking for it, and they're actually doing a pretty good job. Blue castle gonna get shut down there. And just like that, that's gonna be the first kill. Sean looking over the top.
Shockwave!
Shockwave lands on it too. And now Mystic jumping in, but you cannot jump in. Sean and Mist and Espada are gonna do more than enough damage. And again, it's a 2-for-2. This is an absolute nail biter. Both of these two teams, they're playing extremely well. They're playing extremely closely. As Espada going to be TPing back in. And both junglers are still alive, so smites are available. Neither side really has the advantage in that regard. The Crash is low. Deathmaster Pones is not low, but is at half HP. And with the shielding coming out from Silly Goofy, could still be dangerous. But Sean is almost back into the map as Deathmaster Pones looking to jump onto the backline. Unstoppable Onslaught going to be used to kite. And now they're turning back, and Deathmaster going to go down. And Crash is there. Command Shockwave not up yet. Will be back up in just a few seconds. So if they can delay long enough, they could look for it. But Sean Valkyrie's in looking for Crash. Instead, going to find Silly Goofy. And the Shockwave's not going to land. And just like that, SJW, they're just able to completely win out the fight. They're going to get the third dragon. And with those 3 kills, I think they could just look to Baron.
Yeah, what a long and extended fight we had there. Take your break, Toki. You deserve it. But now, because of how SJW played that team fight, Crash had an amazing shockwave in that one to immediately delete 2 people. But a crucial one is he didn't get missed, so it was still jungle v jungle for the swipe fight. And the second Sean came back in and Deathmaster tried to go in on it, he immediately got deleted with Espada, Sean, and Mist all being in that area. It just went 100-0 because Silly Goofy and Crash were not able to give him any assistance in that one. But now they have the dragon, they have Baron, both teams now on soul point. Baron number 2 in favor of SJW. They're going to be looking to push in this one, and that fight shows how close this game is, how much this game is on a nice edge. Either team is still able to take this one, but now that SJW has the Baron, they're going to start to look to push towards that end game that OVS was looking for earlier. But now, I mean, with how close that team fight is, like I said, anybody can get this, and it still comes down to another team fight at the end of the day. Even with the gold being 3K and advantage to SJW, with everybody basically on full builds, the gold is kind of irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their core builds. Everyone has all the items they could ever want and need to get into these fights. And now I'm curious how much value they can get off of these Baron Up minions. Because there's still a tier 2 standing in the mid lane. It is quite low. So the cannon minion, if it's allowed to hit, can deal some pretty solid damage to it. As the swirl seeds and even just the boomerang blades are starting to deal quite a bit of damage to the backline. Same with the ricochets. Some pretty solid poke, and they're very strong on the siege. Rupture going to get used to just try and buy a little bit of space, but I mean, they just cannot defend this anymore. I think they even have to give up the tier 3.
Yeah, the poke on the siege that the comp that SJW does have is impactful. You have all the poke that can come out of Silver's kit. You have the poke from the rockets from Sean on this core key, even the swirl siege from Mist as well. It can be very difficult to siege, and also at any point, D-Shock can just throw a hook and look for an engage if they so want to. But now they're going to back off and look towards this bot lane inhibitor here. For the side of SJW, they are just playing this out slow and methodical. They do not want to throw this back over to OVS. They want to win this game 2-0. They do not want to push this to a game 3 now that they have the Baron buff in their hands. The 4 members have to be careful as All Gucci is catching the bottom wave.
Yeah, All Gucci is back on the way, but it definitely was a little moment where OVS could have definitely gone in if they were aware. But right now, they're just going to be able to muscle their way right in front of this inhibitor. And again, this should just be theirs. But the question is, where do they go after that? There is a tier 2 in the top lane, so they can't just go straight there. But it looks like that's going to be the play. They still not feeling confident trying to siege up, even with 2 inhibs down. They want to back up, retake control of the jungle, and then maybe go back in for another go.
Yeah, I think it's smart. They need to get that top wave in order if they wanted to make a play. Because it was pushed towards their side, they're not able to instantly rotate up to that wave and make a play on that tower. So they're going to be taking resets now. They're going to go mid, look to push that one back out in their favor. It's already going to have the natural push advantage because of that super minion. But then they're going to get the control in mid wave. You see a spotter already going up top lane to have the play be that tier 2 turret and then the inhibitor turret up there in the top lane for the next couple of seconds with the remainder of Baron buff. That's going to be the target of Syndicate.
Yeah, for sure. But the dragon, that's going to be the soul. And it's soul for either of these 2 teams. There's actually Silly Goofy almost getting caught out, but will be able to just run it out. Luckily, the Inspire also gives a lot of movement speed, so we'll be safe that way. But with a minute remaining before Soul is up on the map, it does look like the entire bot lane jungle is in the favor of SJW. As again, they're still throwing out those swirlsies. They're still throwing out so much poke in the mid lane. And now they're finally doing the 1-4 that I was talking about because, well, like we've seen, those rockets coming out of Sean deal a lot of damage. If they have this Quirky with them, their entire composition works so much better. As in fact, they're looking for the fight. Crash is going to be the main target, and Shockwave is going to land onto the backline, but it's not going to deal too much damage. And Crash actually survives for a little bit, but Allgucci going to be able to get the final kill. And now they're looking towards Blue Castle. Blue Castle just kind of being the front line for the team. Allgucci getting hit by Deathmaster, but now they have the kite, they have the peel, and it looks like they're going to be able to come out on top. Of Blue Castle with the feast, going to be able to turn it back. It's still 3 versus 3. Allgucci is in the air, but Mystic jumping into the backline and will be able to get one as D-Shot and Espada. They're the final 2 survivors, but they just don't have the damage. Mystic and Blue Castle, they're the ones that are going to be looking to shove. And now with that, hopefully this is just a little bit of a spectator bug, but yeah, there we go. Okay, we're back. Oh, that made me scared.
I got so scared. I got so scared too.
But that's going to be Soul available on the map, and it looks like they will be able to get that. And like you mentioned earlier, this is an incredibly powerful Soul to have for either Blue Castle
Spada's looking to end.
Bones, but I don't know if you can end. This is full tank sign. This isn't a backdoor sign. We'll just TP, and really nothing will come out of it. It will force Blue Castle to recall, but I mean, that's still going to be Soul going the way of OVS, and they're in a much stronger position, even being down 2 inhibs, because those are going to respawn. Soul will not.
Yeah, and I mean, Mystic actually played that fight so well, just waiting for his opportunity to go in. And when Allgucci stepped forward to try to take down Blue Castle, that's when Mystic saw his opportunity. Immediately, Rocket jumps in with that explosive shot, gets it all stacked up, blows up Allgucci, and then is able to play it out with his Cho'Gath as well. I mean, Mystic has been playing so well this entire game, but these team fights, you're starting to see it really shine through. The mechanics of this guy, the spacing that he's been having has been flawless in this game. He's only died twice, and he's still looking for these aggressive plays to win team fights for his team. But the next focus is this Baron number 3 in 30 seconds. I think this is going to be the fight that determines who wins game number 2.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, whoever wins this fight, if they win cleanly, they can just end the game off of this one fight if it's a good enough win. But On the Hunt actually going to get used. Deathmaster Bones was the target, but they weren't able to land any CC onto it. So that's going to be a pretty major ultimate on cooldown for a little while. But one advantage, SJW, they do have the super minions pushing them through the bot side, so they will have a little bit of added pressure. If they keep it slow, it could work for them. But again, Deathmaster Pone's just going to be running in immediately, has zero interest in keeping it slow. A lot of poke going back and forth, but neither side really full committing yet. And now with the dredge line, they're going to go in, and Deathmaster Pones is going to go down, but the shockwave into the explosive charge, that's going to be a double kill for Mystic. But Lilting Lullaby going to slow down the fight again. But that's still a massive, massive victory. That's the main, or one of the main carries and the main engage down on SJW.
Yeah, what a shockwave there out of Crash to pick both D-Shot and Sean in it. And then you see Mystic with the explosive shot and the empowered kill buff from that Otacon was able to pick up a nice double kill for himself. They're not even looking for the Baron at this point on the side of OVS, which I think they could because they have Cho'Gath. It does out-feast. Outsmite a regular jungler smite, but they're just playing it slow, waiting for Deathmaster to come back, which could be a risky play overall. You see that the chase down is still being looked for on the side of SJW, as Espada does take a lot of damage there. But I mean, overall, both teams are still playing this game very cautiously. I think OVS could have looked towards Baron, but just wanting to wait until they have everybody as we get hopefully just another little bit of a riot bug here.
Yeah, but I mean, like I was saying, it just takes one big fight. If you're able to cleanly win a fight, you're just going to flat out win the game. And that fight was so close. It was a slight lead for OVS, but with the poke damage coming out from the swirling seeds, Allgucci was still up. Espada could still engage underneath Baron. And I think with the help of Baron, they could definitely win that fight. So I kind of agree with OVS. I think they definitely could have gotten it. But hopefully this is just this will continue on soon. But we'll have to see, because it'd be a real shame if we're not able to see the ending of this game.
Yeah, I was looking in our chat to see if there were any updates or anything like that, but yeah, I really am hoping this isn't the old riot bug of old where it hits a exact minute or a half a minute mark and the game just crashes. I'm hoping we do get to see the end of this game because this game has been fun to watch and to cast. I mean, it is on a nice edge, and if this is where we have to end the game, I'm gonna be so upset to not see the ending of this one, especially with that Baron up is gonna be the focus for this next team fight, which is where I'm assuming this game would possibly be ending.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure what to say here, because I can't even tell which of these two teams is going to end up coming out on top. I do think it really comes down to Mystic, Crash, Sean, and Olguchi. Like, it's just going to come down to these four carries. If there's going to be a big shockwave like we saw in the last fight, shockwave into explosive charge kills anyone, or at the very least anyone that isn't just there as a frontliner. And maybe D shot too, but on the other hand, if they're able to dodge away the shockwave, if the shockwave only hits on one, or if Mystic can't follow up on that shockwave, I think after that, SJW have more than enough to just kite backwards. So there is a lot of pressure on the Soriana to be able to land those abilities, and a lot of pressure on Mystic to be able to follow up. Now, they do have the support. Again, Silly Goofy is going to have that extra move speed, going to let them reposition better. The shielding as well going to benefit a lot, but again, it's just it's on such a tight little line there.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess at who would win this game, I think I'd favor OVS the way the last couple of team fights have been going for them, the way Mystic has been waiting for his opportunity to get that engage, how hard it is for SJW to get through Cho'Gath and Udyr, and also the shockwaves coming out of Crash. I think they've just been playing the last couple of team fights better, despite them being like even numbered trades overall. I think if they find a good one around Baron, it should just be the game ender, but like you said, it is just so hard to tell who is going to win this game. I mean, I'm not really sure where to go from here just because of this riot bug, but hopefully we're able to get it sorted out quickly.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I feel this may be the Doom bug. We don't have any confirmation yet. And for those of you not in the know, and Chong brought it up a little bit earlier, but there literally is a bug in Spectate where for some reason on some 30-second marks and some clean minutes, like right now we're at exactly 44 minutes, the entire Spectate client crashes regardless of who's spectating. And when that happens, you cannot connect back into the game. So I think we'll give it another few minutes, but if we're not able to get the game commenced, there's a good chance that unfortunately we're not going to be able to watch the end of this game. And the most unfortunate part is it's not really in our control. Yeah. So our producer says he hasn't crashed yet, but so there's still hope, but it may also just never start back up. That's the issue.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some insider scouting here by logging into my league client and seeing if they're still in a game or not personally. Um uh oh man.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm pretty sure that it's just done then. I'll be completely honest, because it does seem like the game is over. And typically, when the game is over, we have no way of reconnecting back to the end. And I think this is just a Doom bug. It's been a little bit since I saw it. I think it's been about a month or two, but
So I do know how the game ends, but I'll wait to see if we can get this fixed first before I do say anything.
all
But
right.
yeah, this is just feels bad to not be able to cast the end of this game. But on the brighter news, we will be having a game number 3 as OVS was able to win game number 2. So it looks like we're just going to have to end this game here as we did get the riot bug of doom of old. So hopefully does not happen for game number 3 for us.
Yeah. So with that, we are going to have a game 3. So don't go anywhere. We will be continuing on. But for now, we will be going to a break as we try to figure things out. Hopefully, we won't get the Doom bug again. But like I said, this is nothing. There's anything we can do about it. This is just entirely just a riot bug. It's well known across every league here, every event this happens. on occasion anyway. But we'll be back soon. We're gonna go to a short break, and when we are back, we're gonna head into the draft for game number 3. So stick around and let's find out how this all ends together.
Every single little mistake. So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? Tell me why it won't ever be the same. I'll burn it all, no matter who's to blame. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. And every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away?
And we are back for the third and final game between OverSoul Scream and the Syndicate Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. I don't know. I'm still thinking about the NACL qualifiers, I'll be honest. I was thinking of the Jolly Rogers, but yeah, the Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. And I mean, that was a really close game too. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see the end of it, but we'll see how it goes once we do head over into this third game. And what do you think will be different for the draft?
I mean, it's so hard to tell, mostly because I don't know OverSoul as well. I don't know their champion pool as well as I do know the players on Syndicates. But I think Syndicate is probably going to look for a much more similar draft to what they had in that game number 2, like looking for the team fight potential and stuff like that, but could be rather difficult with how well OBS was playing those team fights in game number 2, especially coming back in that game and being able to win it. Like you said, sadly we did not get past the end of that banger of a game number 2, but I also feel like OBS is just going to look for the same thing they did in game number 2, kind of just pick like a comp that you don't expect to work and just play it almost perfectly to be able to get that win and be able to show that they do know what they're doing with the comps they can draft.
Yeah, and I mean, I was really surprised to see the effectiveness of that Karma Udyr. I mean, I've seen it before, but I thought that the kiting composition that Syndicate had would have been enough to deal with it, but I mean, that Udyr just got onto that Sivir so fast. There's just nothing they could do about it. They could peel afterwards, but typically just that one stun, that was all they needed. And then Mystic was just able to jump on top of it with a rocket jump, burst down the Sivir, and that was it. The teamfight was just kind of won from there.
Yeah, and I mean, also the way that OBS played it is they were waiting for All Gucci to use that spell shield before Deathmaster Pones went in for the bear slap or now the ram headbutt. But, you know, they played it out really well and they deserved to win that game number 2. But now they're going to look for a more team fight jungle pick in this one, going with the Amumu first pick overall for OBS.
Yeah, and coming off of casting a couple Platinum Leagues, this is a very, very popular pick in Platinum. It's usually pick or ban. But in response, it's going to be the Maokai. Now, this could be Maokai jungle, this could be Maokai support. I assume it will be in the jungle. I think it's a lot better there. I don't think Maokai support is that good. Unfortunately, Freak decided it was Fiddlesticks this year. But, I mean, it's still played there. It's still a solid engage. But we're already seeing a little bit of a difference in the draft because typically we've already seen the AD carry coming out here as, never mind, just as I say that, it is going to be the Kai'Sa pick. And I believe this is All Gucci's most played champion for solo queue.
Yeah, and I mean, this still could be the Maokai support. Maokai does pair well with the Kai'Sa, just giving those plasma stacks super early, but Kai'Sa can have a difficult time up against the Mumu. She is a shorter range AD carry, so if those bandage tosses do hit or she's in range for that Curse of the Sad Mummy, can have a rough time here, but OBS gonna go for the Xayah, and Rakan is still up, so they can just really quickly lock in that powerful 2v2 combo and have a strong engage option with the Amumu and with the Rakan as well. Could be very good. And like you were saying, you are correct, this is the most played jungle pick here, or sorry, AD carry pick here for All Gucci with the Kai'Sa. And like I said, it is the Rakan.
I mean, this is a very powerful lane. I believe level 1 wins into pretty much anything. Just having that flat 20% attack speed buff is so strong with that grand entrance coming in as well. But later on, I mean, I remember just a few years ago, this was kind of the meta. Kai'Sa, Xayah, you saw it in every single pro game, and this was before Fearless, so when I say every game, I don't mean every series, I mean every game. And now Renekton actually going to get locked in for the top side. Now, kind of the opposite, because this time around, it's SJW who decides to leave support for later. But they're just going to lock the Crocodile in right away.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Renekton is still a super strong champion since he did get buffed a few patches ago to basically be a walking equalizer at level 11 and level 16 with those ultimate buffs to do so much more damage. But he still is that problem child of the top lane with the early power that he does have in these skirmishes, but now with those buffs, he can scale better into the late game. But I kind of think that SJW does need that. I do think Espada can play tanks well. I think he's better at these bruisers and at these aggressive picks. So I do like them going for this Renekton pick here. But the question is this the Maokai jungle or support? What does Trad want to go to if he does want to go for a jungle pick? And what are they saving for a potential D-shot counter pick here for the support role, wanting to wait all the way until potentially R5 to lock in support, unless they're waiting for R5 to lock in a jungler.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be it as well. Kind of like faking it out, making sure OBS doesn't really know what they're picking either. But I am still a little bit surprised. I do think Renekton's strong, and like you said, with the buffs to Dominus is a lot better in terms of late game as well. But I'm still not sure if it's blindable. I think there are some things you can pick into it. I think there's a lot of... This doesn't answer any questions.
No, no, it doesn't. Nope, we are... Yeah, okay, you want to hear the worst part about this Syndicate draft, Toki?
Yep.
This could be Renekton mid for Sean as well.
Oh, it could, couldn't it?
Yep, it can be. So we are kind of just waiting to see what Syndicate decides on where they want all these champions to go, while OBS likes to keep it very simple for us, and I thank them for that, as I know where that Syndra's going, and that Syndra is going in the mid lane, so nice and easy there. But now the question is, what are you going to pick top lane? Because you still don't know who is going where for the side of Syndicate, and I think that's kind of a benefit to being on the red side for them. A lot of people pick it for those counter picks in certain matchups, but if you have flexibility between multiple roles and you just want to pick something strong, then you can still get a counter pick wherever you want, because you have people who are willing to play these different champions. Like Poppy could do jungle support top, you could have Renekton top or mid, you could have Maokai top jungle support, so it all depends. And okay,
this should be a mid lane Mel.
Yeah, and then it's Renekton, and then it's
Renekton. Never mind.
Oh,
word is we're getting baited.
Okay, so it's not Mel. Here's what it is then. I won't speculate on what it could be, but it could be any. Okay.
This could be support.
Oh my god, this could be support. This is the worst thing ever, man.
Let's just break this down per champion.
Okay, so here's where I think SJW is gonna go with their draft. I think it's Renekton top. I think it's Maokai jungle, Xerath mid, and then Kai'Sa Poppy bottom lane. Because I think Poppy is a better counter pick into Rakan, because Rakan can do some funny shenanigans with Maokai W, where if you W Rakan, he just battle dances backwards and uses grand entrance backwards, and then you're like 600 units away from your team under a turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not optimal. I think you're right. I'm inclined to agree as well. I think that would definitely be the best way to go about it. I mean, there are a couple players that play the Maokai top, but then it's Xerath to be support. I mean, yeah, I think that's the only one that really makes sense. And especially because Renekton does fine into Gnar. I think that's another skill-based matchup where Gnar should win in CS, but I think Renekton does have kill opportunity onto the Gnar if the Gnar just tries to overplay their hand just a little bit. So it could be a close matchup there, but I mean, so this was definitely a fun draft, but it's time for the age-old question of which of these two drafts do you prefer?
This is a much harder one to predict, to say which one I do prefer here. I mean, there's benefits on both ones, because SJW can play more of a poke style game with the Kai'Sa Void Seekers, with Xerath's whole artillery barrage of spells, even with the Maokai saplings. While there is really good engage on the side of OBS, you have the Curse of the Side Mummy from the Immortal, all of Rakan's engage abilities, even the Scatter the Weak from Syndra, and then huge Gnars into the wall. I mean, if OBS teamfights the way they did in game number 2, their comp is better than SJW's. But if SJW looks like they did in game number 1, they should be able to win off that. But I think OBS is going to win this game, personally, looking at the drafts here.
Interesting call out, and we've been favoring SJW for the first 2 games for sure, at least in terms of draft. And I think I'm inclined to agree. I think one opportunity they could have on the side of St. Jerry's Watermelons is they have a lot of artillery. The Xerath on his own could, in theory, just delete Crash or Mystic before they're in range to do anything about it. But again, they're just going to have to play slow, play the poke comp, kind of like they did in the previous game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. And I think my biggest question on OVS is how good is Silly Goofy on Rakan? Because the best Rakans are able to play around their HP bar so well and be able to use that kit so effectively and be slippery, but that is so much harder to do when there is a Poppy in the game. Because she literally stops all of Rakan's kit except for his Q and his ultimate. So it becomes very difficult to play Rakan. So if Silly Goofy is able to play through that matchup and able to effectively use Rakan, OverSoul has the better draft. But if they aren't, Syndicate gets a good lead and gets a really strong team fight like they did in game number 1. This should be Syndicate taking it. But like I said, I will be favoring OverSoul in this game number 3.
All right, well, we're going to go to a short break as we get that spectator delay going. But when we come back, we're going to find out who is it that's going to be taking that second position in this group. OverSoul Esports Scream or Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons. We'll be back shortly. Don't go anywhere. And we are back as both teams are heading out of the fountains, and it's time to see who's going to be able to take home this series. Is it OverSoul Esports Scream, or is it Syndicate Jerry's Watermelons? And already an interesting start as SJW are going to the bot side. And don't worry, this is not the Doom bug. They paused at the start. This is a completely separate bug that we've had in Spectator for years. But Mystic will be able to spot it out, so they're not going to be able to get any pickoffs here, but they will be able to get some vision.
Yeah, and something that I wanted to talk about, which I think is really interesting, is that Mystic went cleanse this game, which is really interesting because it's not fully necessary on Zaya because you have that ultimate to immune you from any CC coming out, and Rakan is also one of those supports who can go into the Mikhails as well, but wanting more of that safety in the lane for potential 2v2s if you get stunned in the wall by D-Shot, able to cleanse that off and then be able to fight that one out. So wanted to go for that, and even potential pickoffs from the stun out of Sean's Zareth or even a stun from a spot. I want to be able to have that safety for yourself. But all Gucci also going with the cleanse, which is much more understandable into what OVS has drafted this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cleanse still could have some uses. I mean, if Sean lands one of those stuns, one of those slows, it could be really hard for the Zaya, and then the root coming out from the Maokai as well just kind of gives more options for Mystic. But we are seeing both of these sides just trying to fight for that level 2 priority. And it's still interesting to me a little bit that Mystic and Silly Goofy aren't playing harder into this. Again, Zyrakan, their level 1 power spike specifically is what makes them so scary, at least in the early game. Obviously, they scale extremely well, but I would have definitely liked to see a bit more aggro early on.
So I think Mystic and Silly Goofy haven't played as Zyrakan together before because Mystic started with Q and not with W, so that's why they aren't playing aggressively in this lane. Because if you take W in this specific matchup as Zaya, you also get the auto attack, like the little bonus autos from that W passive coming off of Rakan as well, and that's why you can trade so effectively at level 1. But because you start that Q and look for like more poke and like use that to try to get CS, you lose that 2v2 pressure at level 1 in comparison to if they went that where they could have been looking to be more aggressive at level 1.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still going to be fine. You don't necessarily have to get that level 1 aggro, and they are still farming okay on both sides. It's actually Deathmaster opponents looking for the invade, and Amumu is pretty strong early on, as now Mist looking to get this fight, will be able to get the Gromp helping out, but actually he's walking back in. Silly Goofy is coming in from the side, but both bot lanes are now going to be here. The Flash actually going to dodge the grand entrance, and Deathmaster opponents is going to be the next target, as all Gucci flashing in as well, looking for one more hit, and will be able to get the first blood. And that's also going to be the blue buff going the way of all Gucci. And now Crash, already crashed the mid lane, will be trying to join in, but it looks like that's just going to be a failed invade attempt, and all Gucci's kind of the winner from that engage.
Yeah, I mean, SJW had the wave pushed in the bot lane, so they go, hey, we can just back off of this because it's going to be pushing back to us anyway and be able to help out our jungler Mist on this invade. And the benefactor, like you said, is all Gucci. Yes, he did flash, but he's still able to get that first blood, able to get a blue buff for himself, so can look to be more aggressive on this Kai'Sa.
The grand entrance is going to land into the bot side, and they have the root as well. Oguchi trying to DPS back, but the level 3 advantage is there for Mist and Silly Goofy now. Mist is nearby, but again, with the wave there, with the HP bars, wouldn't really be able to help much, but that's going to be... I actually don't think any summoners have been blown, but HP bars definitely favoring the side of OVS.
Yeah, just the Ignite was used onto D-Shot. I think if Mystic flashes and autos him, he actually gets the kill there, but then can be a target for Mist, who was coming in for that gank in the bottom lane. So I guess you don't need to force that. You can just force the recalls. I mean, they get the wave shoved in, stumbling with my words there, get the wave shoved in, and now they're going to be taking a reset down here in the bot lane, but they're still going to be behind in gold because all Gucci is up in CS and has that bonus gold from the first blood, already has a full completed item, while Mystic is just on components at this point. And I say completed item, it's still a component item, but it's not the basic component items.
Yeah, but the Hearthbound Axe does have quite a few stats on it. I think it's basically just an extra dagger plus a little bit of stats over top as well. So that will definitely help out a little bit in terms of these trades, in terms of these little engages. But Dragon actually going to get started by OVS, and it looks like they have learned from their previous game, as we do get a pause, but I'm still going to continue on my point. They were always late to the first few objectives. In game one and in game two, the first three, I believe the first two dragons and the grubs, they're just kind of given over before anything else happened. But this time around, they're the first to the play. They're going to start it basically on spawn. They know they have priority. So I'm really liking this adaptation coming out from OVS.
Yeah, I mean, they should know that Mist was up in the top side because they invaded his blue buff early and it didn't work out, but they got whereabouts of where he was. It is clear. And based on their reset timers and information on that, they're like, hey, Maokai's going to be top side. We're able to just start up this dragon for free because the bot lane was pushed. It's being slowly pushed back to us. We can look to just go for dragon and get started on these early objectives for once in this series. But hopefully we're able to get out of this pause quickly. Not quite sure what the pause is for at this point. I know the first one in the game was because of a mid lane DC. I'm curious if it is the same reason, or looks like we're going to be back. Don't get your hopes up, chat, because we have the classic bug where we're just going to be paused after a pause of a pause of a pause.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the best way to put it. But I mean, oop,
We're
and we're
back.
back here, I guess. But I mean, I do think that it could be interesting, or like I think that original invade could have gone well for them if they had it timed a little bit more with their bot lane, because we already saw Deathmaster Pones was winning in the 1v1 versus Mist. It's just the issue is that D-Shot and All Gucci were there first. So I think if Deathmaster Pones just wait a little bit so that there was less time in between the cooldown usage onto Mist, they could have just gotten that kill right away, and then they could have just started fighting that 3v2. But either way, completely unrelated to my point, that is still going to be the dragon going first over to OverSoul. And they're looking pretty clean so far. They're down 600 gold, but a lot of waves are still going to get caught. And all of those gold always swings back and forth as the game goes on.
Yeah, and I feel like OverSoul, yes, they did lose that first blood, like you said. They're down 600 gold, but starting up objectives, this game is way better for them. I'm curious if they're also going to look to do the swap that Syndicate has done at 8 minutes, where your bot lane pushes in, your top lane gets a good reset, and then you swap up for those grubs and potentially look to fight those, because they have a good comp at taking grubs. Amumu is one of those junglers who is really good at taking Void Mites, as like Lilia is in the past game, or anything that has like good AoE damage in the jungle, which isn't much nowadays, but nice little trade there in the bottom lane. But overall, it's just like small CS advantages across the map, and the really only big difference in this game is that first blood, and I think maybe a plate somewhere.
The scout of the week has been landed, as the bandage shot's not going to come through, but that's we didn't get to see it, but Sean did use the flash there, so a definite opportunity for a regank later on in the mid lane.
Yeah, and now you see that they are looking towards this Grubs area, is the side of OVS looking to get set up on that vision early, as Mist is going for an invade here onto the enemy Raptors, as the bot lane of OVS is just continuing to farm up and look to maybe make a rotation play or just make a plate pressure play if the side of SJW does rotate up for those Grubs.
Yeah, but now I'm going to take a moment to just kind of look at the CS numbers as in the top side of Spada. Again, just going to be trading with Blue Castle, and that's just a classic range melee trading pattern there. But overall, CS is pretty close across every single side of the map, as Silly Goofy actually taking a decent amount of damage. Ignite has already been burned by D-Shot. Could be getting turned back around. They already have the Deadly Plumage coming through, but Blade Collar just wasn't there. Not for a good angle of it.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw also there in the mid lane, Sean got a nice trade there onto Crash. He's playing this matchup really well, getting a nice bit of poke down, as Blue Castle got a nice chunk onto Espada with the last bit of the rage, used that Gnar, and then also got everything followed up on top of it. The classic Gnar combo to just do half the HP to somebody before you basically heal up almost to either full or half once you do get that transformation back, because it's like the weirdest interaction where you basically heal off going Mega on Gnar, even if you don't trade with anything. As
Yep.
bot lane, more trading.
Yeah, I mean, neither one's really going to be able to go through the fight, but Featherstorm is available now if Mystic wants to use it, so they could try to play a little bit more aggressively with that safety option available. But All Gucci has a Killer Instinct now, but no mana. So All Gucci's incredibly low, shouldn't really be able to fight. As in the meanwhile, the Grubs just gonna be going down, and Deathmaster opponents this time around the side of OverSoul, they're the ones that are getting every objective for free. Because now Dominus has been popped and Mist is first onto the play, but Deathmaster opponents is not far behind. They will get the roots, but Blue Castle just gonna jump away. Now Deathmaster opponents still in the area, but they're coming in with Right of the Arcane. And Blue Castle still dodging away on all of them and will survive, and it's Mist that's gonna be going down. And Espada gonna be the next one, the Unleashed Power coming in. And it's a double kill for Crash.
Yeah, I thought Crash had already used the Unleashed Power when he actually just used the Dark Sphere to get the kill onto Mist, and I think because he died before the animation cast went through for Unleashed Power, it was still up to get the kill onto Espada. Blue Castle lived for so long in that play and then was able to get turned around by Deathmaster and Crash. The Right of the Arcane, the fourth shot just he hit the first one out of Sean, but the next couple just barely missing on the Blue Castle with some fancy feet, able to turn that play around, and OVS is looking good again here early in this game number 3, continuing where they left off. They're up about 500, 600 gold right now, and then just looking to continue to stack objectives, unlike they have been in the past couple of games. They're up 2 neutral objectives, and the next dragon spawning in 30 seconds that could start putting them on the way to winning feats for once in this series.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the important thing. Like, this adaptation in game number 3, just in terms of playstyle, in terms of their focus on the objectives, is actually the quickness is going to be coming out. But it looks like Silly Goofy's just going to get knocked into the wall, but Mist in the area could look for either. And it looks like they're going to aim towards Silly Goofy, but still had that second charge of the Battle Dance. And now the Blade Caller is going to be coming through, not going to be able to land onto anyone. The Bandage Toss, first charge was used then. Neither side is going to go down as Blue Castle on the spot and now going to be trading in. Again, it's that usual Mega Gnar trade. Just go in with full HP, throw all of your abilities, and then be at full health anyway.
Oh man, Mystic tried to get the Flash Blade Caller to get a root onto anybody, and it just completely missed. And that feels so bad, when you use your Flash to do something like that. And now you're just going to be vulnerable to a gank because you have no use of that Feather Storm. You have no Flash now, which is even bigger. But it looks like Dragon isn't even the focus here on the side of OVS. It looks like they're just going for an invade, which means SJW could just either look to get the Dragon or make a play onto Mystic, who they know he has no Flash or Ultimate right now and is alone in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential plays they could make. Like you said, the Dragon's there. But in the meanwhile, Espada is just getting really pushed in. So at the same time, OverSoul, they could look to dive onto Espada again. Mega Gnar is up, and Espada actually going really far forward, coming in with the Dominus as well. They're trying to run down Blue Castle, but Deathmaster poses here. Silly Goofy is going to be here as well. Grand Entrance is going to land, and there's really not much Espada can do. It is one of those champions that Renekton very commonly able to 1v2, but when there's 3, there's just not much that can happen. But will be traded for a Dragon, so a cross-map trade as usual. But Blue Castle going to be able to get the kill and a couple plates.
Yeah, and Nard getting ahead is not what you want as SJW, because there's nobody that would be able to answer a Fed Nard on the side lane. Not even Renekton would be able to. He went for the Merc Treads in this one.
Silly Goofy could be in a bad spot. Is going to get stunned up into the wall. Gucci does not have Killer Instinct yet. And oh no, they did use Nature's Grasp, but it was already going to miss. And Silly Goofy just trying to dodge away on those Rights of the Arcane. One more lands, and it will get the snipe. So Sean gonna be able to get that kill.
He walked into it. He was out. He went back into it. Oh man, that feels so bad. But I mean, nice shooting there by Sean, and maybe Silly Goofy could have dodged out of it, considering he got out of the engage that came onto him out of SJW. But like I was saying before, Nari didn't go for the plated steel caps for the 1v1 against Espada. He went for the Merc Treads for the 2v1 or 2v2 against the Maokai and Renekton, who have a lot of CC built into their kit. So wanting the reduced bit of that with the tenacity, and also could answer Sean on the side lane.
Doing so much damage from Crash, but again, it's kind of the same as the ranged melee matchup though, where Xerath is the range and Syndra is the melee. Just with that extra range, able to get a lot of Crash's health out on the back end of that. And actually, I think if Right of the Arcane was up, could have looked to just finish off Crash off that play.
He could have, but I think Scout of the Week was going to be back up, so he would have been canceled out of that ultimate. So not really effective. As the Xerath, you have to have the right spacing to be able to put that out so you don't get CC'd up by anything, because it will cancel your ultimate. and haven't seen that come through yet in this game. As all Gucci's kind of
Oh,
trying to play
Gucci
bait
is
here.
going to be going in. The quickness has not been used. It's going to get popped now. Same with the blade collar. And now Mist has been rooted up by it as Sean, in the meanwhile, going to get ganked. And with the unleashed power, that's going to be a killing spree going the way of Sean. So another pretty big victory coming out, as I think we've seen that exact same pattern before play out on the top side. But now they're aiming towards Silly Goofy, and the Killer Instinct is going to be coming in. One more auto and all Gucci. Gonna get the second kill of the game. And that's the Kraken Slayer already completed. So this Kaisa can definitely start following up on these fights and will start bringing out the damage. But first turret, gotta go the way of Crash.
Yeah, I'm talking about a Fed Nard, but what about a Fed Syndra here? Gets 3 kills, gets a full solo first turret for themselves. That is the full feats here for the side of OVS now, because they got the first 3 kills, and now that first turret has been picked up in the mid lane nonetheless. Let's just talk about this series as a whole, where it took so long for OVS to get any turrets in any of these games. They're getting first turret in game number 3 here. They are looking like they want to win this series after how they played in game number 2, able to come back from that one and able to win it. They do not want to lose this series, and they are playing so good so far in this early game. There have been a few missteps out of just only Silly Goofy, but I think overall OVS has been looking really good here in game number 3.
Yeah, and I think with Silly Goofy, it's even slightly okay to be out of position a little bit, just because, like we mentioned at the start, the Rakan Poppy matchup, it's difficult to play for the best Rakans in the world. So all of that being considered, I think Silly Goofy has been doing okay, but now the fight over the Rift Herald is going to be coming through. Nature's Grasp is going to come out, but it's already been taken. Actually, Deathmaster gets knocked away and will use Curse of the Sad Mummy, but that's actually going to be a shutdown going to all Gucci, but look at the damage. That was without the unleashed power. And I think if all Gucci did not cleanse her and get out of the range, I think that would have come out, and that would have been another kill going towards Crash.
Yeah, I mean, I think Crash could have played a little bit on the edge there and maybe flashed forward to get that one and trade his life for it, but not wanting to give over shutdown. But now Mystic, in the meantime, just gets a solo turret for himself down in the bot lane. Yeah, OVS did lose Deathmaster, but they pick up a turret. They get the Rift Herald as well. They are looking good in this early game. 16 minutes in, you're up 3k gold at this point. I mean, the Fed members that you want fed, the Syndra and the Nard, they have these kills, and now Mystic is actually in trouble.
Yeah, they're looking towards Mystic, but a TP is going to be coming out. They still have the Feather Storm. Mystic going to use that with the Blade Collar as well, so all Gucci actually going to go in, trying to trade the kill, but Mystic's going to be the one to come out instead. Now, Banish Shot's not going to land, but Crash just bringing out so much damage, and I believe Unleashed Power should have enough damage, and yeah, Crash is just going to go on a rampage, taking down D-Shot just as the dragon spawns. So this should be yet another objective going the way of OverSoul.
Yeah, that was so close to all Gucci picking up that kill onto Mystic, but Mystic was able to get the flash with the Feather Storm and then the Blade Collar root as well. Just picked it up. The Killer Instinct was used by all Gucci to try to get that trade, and he almost had it, but the one extra auto came out from Mystic there to be able to get that kill for himself. And then the TP in by Crash, able to just easily pick up D-Shot on the backside of that one. And now the Dragon is being started up here for the side of OVS. Will be Dragon number 3 in the game, Dragon number 2 for them. And in the meantime, Espada and Blue Castle have not been involved in any team fights whatsoever. They have just been fully up in this top lane, and Blue Castle has been the king of it so far in game number 2 and in game number 3.
Yeah, the question is, like, is that good or bad for Syndicate? Because, yes, Blue Castle is winning in the top side, but if you think about which one of them is stronger in team fights, it's also Blue Castle. So it's kind of a lose-lose. Wherever Blue Castle goes, there's a lot to be gained for the side of OverSoul. And this game's starting to look really difficult for the side of SJW. And it's kind of like what you mentioned when you were talking about the draft. I think this Syndra is just so difficult for them to play into. The Rakan, yes, has a couple of issues, but with the engage, with the amount of tools that they have at their disposal to keep Mystic and Crash kind of being the ones to deal damage instead of trying to back away and kite, it's really coming out to fruition.
Yeah, and I mean, to answer your question of, is it better if Blue Castle isn't in the team fights or he's just up in the top lane? I think it doesn't matter, because SJW isn't even winning the team fights when Blue Castle isn't there, so you'd just lose them harder if he was there. So it's a lose-lose because if he's there, you lose. If he's not there, you still lose, and he continues to grow an advantage up in the top lane. So there needs to be an answer soon for Blue Castle on this Gnar in this top lane, or somehow get onto Crash on the Syndra when he has no flash and be able to get a nice shutdown that way. But OVS has been playing around him well. You see Silly Goofy here is shadowing him right now. You see Mystic and Deathmaster are looking to shadow their Fednar up here on the top side as well, and potentially get a gank onto Espada.
Yeah, the flash is going to be burned. As in the meanwhile, Crash just going to look for a shot, and with the unleashed power, will have more than enough damage to get the kill. And actually, it's going to be Herald spawning in the top side, and that's going to be the turret going down. And they're looking for more right now. They have so much damage. Blue Castle will go down. Killer Instinct coming through, and D-Shot able to flash away from the damage. The Feather Storm has already been used, so that is a 2-for-0, just traded for a tier 2 with a shutdown going to all Gucci. But again, that is still tier 2, and Crash and Silly Goofy still got the kill on the bot side, so who really comes out on top there?
Yeah, and I don't think this Gromp wins this 2v1 either. I think Crash is going to be able to get that one, but I mean, OVS, man, I think they're fine with losing
They could find more though. Silly Goofy not going to get stunned up into the wall. We'll be able to use the grand entrance, and with a flash, we'll be able to get away. But I mean, that's still summoner burned.
I think that's still okay. I think even if Silly Goofy died there, it's still okay. Because there's no objective on the play except for the Otacon, I think it's okay if Silly Goofy even went down there and still had a flash for himself. But, I mean, overall, I think OVS is like, yes, we lose Deathmaster, we lose Blue Castle, the shutdown does go over, but we get tier 2. Crash is still super fed on the Syndra, and there's no pressure on the Otacon right now at this point in the game from either side. So I think overall, OVS is happy with the passage of play in this game, and they're going to continue to look for plays like this. You see now in the bot side is where Blue Castle is away from the objective to look to TP in to force Espada to not be there. And Blue Castle has been doing such a good job at saying, Espada, you either answer me and you lose, or you go to your team to try to help them win, and you lose 2 turrets potentially on the other side of the map.
But Hex Flash gonna get used, and Mystic actually trying to trade with all Gucci, and we see the gold lead right now. It is 700 gold in favor of all Gucci, so Mystic should be losing out on these. But I mean, look at that 2.5k gold lead in the mid lane. And I mean, Sean's been playing fine, not super far behind in CS. Has gotten a kill for himself as well. It's literally just the fact that Crash is 5-0, had those turrets as well. I mean, this Syndra is so scary.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, yes, all Gucci should in theory win that 1v1 against Mystic because of the gold advantage. He's down a level though, so like, yeah, you have the same items. The stats are just in favor of Mystic now at this point. I mean, all Gucci can still win it because of the 2 items he does have with the passive stacks as well. But speaking of somebody losing out,
Killer Instinct coming in and actually going to be able to dodge away onto a lot of things, but that's a lot of cooldowns just to take down a 0-2 Rakan. I'm not sure if that was worth it, but I guess it kills a kill.
Yeah. Flash, Killer Instinct, Cleanse, and Ray of the Arcane all used here to kill Rakan. I guess if you think you're gonna be able to just get the Baron, oh my god, the dragon on spawn here, but with Blue Castle here is actually in a bad spot because he has no Narbar. They're just gonna have to go for the Otacon here. They cannot fight for this dragon because he came in and was sleepy, was not able to build up that rage. They're just gonna go for the Otacon here on the side of OVS.
I mean, I feel like that's not even too bad for Syndicate, because at the same time, I don't know if they could fight the Otacon. Maybe they can. Maybe they still will. They do have a little bit of time to get there. Maybe try and clean something up afterwards. But second Dragon going for Syndicate. I mean, they'll definitely take that. Prevents Soul Point from coming through, as the Otacon does get safely taken by OverSoul. So they don't really lose too much by giving away that second Dragon and taking that safe, but arguably much stronger objective. I think you're happy really on both sides of this trade just because of the way the map state was.
Syndicate might be a little bit more happy now because they're all going to be able to pick up that tier 1 in the mid lane as well, because all of OVS was up there and all took resets and didn't use a TP to come back out to defend it. They're able to pick that up and kind of start to shrink this gold lead. Now only a 4k gold lead in favor of OVS. It's 2-2 on Dragons. it's Hextech. I was going crazy. I was like, what Dragon Soul is it this game? Knowing that 2 dragons had already been taken and the other 2 have been Hextech, I was losing my mind there for a second.
Yeah, it's
But,
getting late into the night.
I think Hextech is good for both teams in this game, and because you have the Syndra poke, you have Xayah as well, but also you have the Xerath poke with a possible Hextech soul and the Kaisa poke as well with it. I mean, it's going to be good for whatever team ends up getting that soul if we end up going that late in this game. Who knows? I think if game 2 is anything to tell, we're getting like 8 dragons this game.
Yeah, and I mean, that's definitely very possible. Both sides, I think at this point, they respect each other, so they don't want to play too aggro. Is actually Crash immediately going to flash away as the spot of just burning the dominance for that play. Now, again, Baron is going to be spawning here soon, but Silly Goofy actually going in with the quickness, and everything just burned onto Gucci, and that is going to be enough for the kill. As now D-Shot going to get taken out onto the backside, and it's just going to be a spot of trying to survive there. Will be using that slice and dice to get away, and will dodge away on the bandage, but even with that, I don't think it matters. Deathmaster Pone's going to get that kill as well, and it's a 3-4-0 for OverSoul. They're just really dominating in these fights.
Yeah, and that was a nice engage by Silly Goofy. He used the ultimate and used the battle dance, and even though it was stopped by that Poppy W, he was able to just use that movement speed to walk in and charm up 2, and then Deathmaster flashing to be in range of Gucci even after he used that killer instinct to get that stun. They're able to turn that and then able to chase down a Spada, and now that's going to be Baron here on spawn started up for the side of OBS. They are looking to win this series and prove they are names that we should know in AEL and be worried about come playoffs and later in the season.
I mean, to be completely honest, the way they played in game 1, I didn't think they were very good. Like, I'm just going to be brutally honest here, but game 2, they made that series really close, and then game 3, it doesn't look like the series is close at all. They've just been playing extremely well. I think their mistakes that they had, they managed to fix, not between series, but literally between maps. And now that they fixed that early game objective taking, which I still think was their main issue, they're no longer forced to fight objectives they don't want to. They were able to kind of do whatever they wanted. In terms of that trade, like for example, that Otacon dragon, if they gave up those first 2 dragons, they couldn't make that trade because that would have been soul. But because they did, now they were able to make that trade. This D-Shot is gonna get one shot away by Crash. I mean, yeah, the press R to win button is definitely available. And actually, Nature's Grasp gets used by Mist. I don't think there's really too much they can do. In fact, Mist could be in a dangerous spot now. Banish Toss is available. Blue Castle is near the side as well. Just going to stun him up, and that will be it.
Yep, there's no outplay to the Syndra button when she is this fed. The skill button comes out and just immediately deletes the enemy support, and then they're able to pick up Mist, who is trying to do something off on the side there, but now with Baron in hand, they're going to continue to look for this push on the side of OVS, just going from strength to strength in this game, and it all started with Crash getting ahead on this Syndra.
Yeah, and I mean, we're even seeing Sean just trying to throw out those Arcano pulses, but the goal just isn't there. The damage just is not there yet. And they're even able to just basically get rid of half of his spot as HP, just kiting backwards. It's not even them trying to kite. It's literally just, I'm going to throw this since I'm leaving. And that on its own provides kill threat. I mean, OverSoul is in a very commanding position.
Yeah, and Crash is feeling confident. He has bought the book in this game and already at 10 stacks because he's sitting on that Dark Steel. He is feeling it on this Syndra. He feels like there is no threat to him in this game. There hasn't been. The only time he was threatened, he got the flash away from it. And, I mean, I have faith that he's not gonna do the classic 5-minute Soul Stealer and die and lose all these stacks, but we'll see what happens, as now he actually could be in a bad spot.
Is gonna go in, and in fact, Mist able to find Crash, and Killer Instinct coming in, so Crash may do that, but will end up backing away before that 5th shot of plasma comes through, and Gucci gonna get taken down by a Blue Castle there, as Deathmaster Pose just ignoring the fight entirely, just sitting on the dragon. And I mean, I think it's over when the dragon is prioritized by the Amumu, who is their team fighting champion, instead of the team fight.
Yeah, now actually Sean could be in trouble. Nice bit of damage there. Oh man, he's just gone. That's his game, actually.
I'm pretty sure they just had the game here.
Yeah.
I mean, As the hype caster, there's just not too much to hype up in terms of these last few plays. But what I can hype up is the way they've improved this series. Just from game 1 to game 3, this looks like a completely different team. They were able to absolutely dominate in this third and final map, and now they're just playing with their food at this point. They are gonna win game number 3, and they're gonna take second in their groups. So, I mean, really well played by them. There's really not much else to say.
Hey, and Crash finished with a fully stacked Magi's because they decided to dive the fountain. He had 25 pages in his book. And I mean, the way they ended game number 2, coming back in that one and looking dominant in those last couple team fights, and then to come into game number 3 like this and look like a completely different team than we saw in game number 1. OVS looked so good in that third game. I cannot say that enough. I mean, Crash was the carry, and that was the one guy I said you have to be worried about because he does look like their best player coming into this. His names I don't know, he looked like their best player, and he was their best player, especially in game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, just had an absolutely phenomenal game number 3, and I can just the way they played through that jungle in game 3. They had that invade attempt, which again, it didn't work out, but I think if they just tweak that play a little bit differently, I think it was the right call. I think just the execution was slightly off. If they waited just a little bit longer for their bot lane to get there, I think they win that engage as well, and this game's even more one-sided. So I mean, yeah, that's all I really have to say. I mean, congratulations to OVS.
Yeah, I mean, they deserved this win. They played better at the tail end of 2, played way better in game number 3. I think Syndicate has some stuff to work out, depending if it's like comms on certain plays or decisions going into games like draft plan wise or something, a few things to work out. This team is good. The Syndicate team is good, and I believe they are the players who can get it to work. But OVS was just the better team on the day and definitely deserved that win here to end up being 2-1 now on the season, like you said, second in their group, looking towards the later half of the year now.
Yeah, and with that, that is all we have for you today. So thank you all for watching week 3 of the Aegis Executioner League. My name is TokiB. Joining me, hope for the first time and not the last time, Chong. Definitely looking forward to seeing you here this week. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you here next week. We'll be back, and we hope to see you there.